Hey guys, how's it going today? This is Rob, and I'm with Middle Ground.
And this is Rob, and we obviously are the hosts of Middle Ground. What our podcast is a podcast for men, about men, by men, discussing men's topics, different masculinity, and how men function within today's society. Not only for other men to have a platform to discuss issues and ask questions and have general discussions from all of our different backgrounds, but also, for a place for us to share things, invite women to get the man's perspective, get their perspective on different man issues, to kind of fill the gap in the differences of what we appear could be in society and as masculinity and men, but actually are functioning as normal, everyday life from different backgrounds, different walks of life in our different experiences.
100%. And how we started off is the kickoff. So we have the kickoff question. And what we want to do is we want to start it out with the Bad Bunny topic. We want to talk about the Super Bowl with everybody. But first, before we get into that, we want to introduce our guest here. So who wants to go? Is it age before beauty, or how's it go?
I'm not the host, so y'all tell us what to do. You feel me? Like,
Go ahead.
right.
You're
Go
already.
I done started talking.
Go ahead.
What's up, everybody? My name is Lawrence Kirby. I'm from Kenosha, Wisconsin. It's good to be here. You want me to say more? I need to talk about what I'm doing? Any of that? What's up?
Tell us what you
say
feel
whatever you
everybody
want,
needs
bro.
to know to
Yeah.
start.
Cool. So I do a few things in Kenosha. I lead a church there. I also work for a large financial firm and do community engagement work for the firm. So
Beautiful.
Sure. I'm Mateo. Been in Kenosha for 27 years, and I just do real estate full-time investor for the last. I've been doing it for 17 years, but full-time for 9 years.
Definitely. Well, I just want to thank you guys for coming on to the podcast and whatnot, short notice and X, Y, and Z. Thank you guys for coming out and telling me what you guys think. So we want to start it out with the kickoff question. So we want to talk about Bad Bunny concert, right?
Yeah, Bad Bunny in the Super Bowl performance.
Yeah.
And just kind of our opinions, our takes, what we thought of it, how we feel that plays into, some of the societal situations with just everything that's going on. Obviously it's a general controversial topic depending upon who you are, what your views are. So it's just a general discussion about what we thought, what we saw, what we think, and kind of go from there. So.
All right. We'll start with Kirby.
me? All right, let's get to it. So, I'm gonna say this. I'm not much of a Bad Bunny fan, right? This is not my thing. But I recognize that the Super Bowl is not just about my taste, right? They target pop stars, superstars, people that have a big impact in music to do those halftime shows, right? Like the halftime show started with Michael Jackson, 1993.
That was the big kickoff.
Was that the first one?
Well, that was the big like change of
King
tune.
of the Super Bowl.
Because what it was before was like your typical marching band scenario of a halftime game of like a college football game or a college bowl game. But Michael Jackson and really what sprung it was I think it was in Living Color.
1992, yeah.
That decided that they were going to go, hey, we're new to the comedy scene. The Wayans brothers are like, let's give them a different dynamic as to what to look at during the Super Bowl halftime show. And there was such a massive shift from people watching those boring Super Bowl halftime shows that they took such viewership away that the next year they're like, well, we got to compete directly with this because of what they took and what they did. So not to cut you off, Kirby, but continue off the
No, you're exactly right. Living Color did like an abbreviated version of their show for halftime and drew like 20 million viewers. So next year the NFL was like, okay, Michael Jackson, right? So to shift the energy back. So since then, it's been huge pop stars every year, right?
100%.
And I don't understand what all the controversy is about. Because I've heard two things, right? One thing is this issue of American or citizenship or what that looks like.
Right.
Another one is like debauchery. He wears dresses, blase skip.
Yeah.
But none of those issues are new to pop music, right? Like U2 aren't American citizens. They did a halftime show. The Rolling Stones, Paul McCartney,
U2.
none of those are American citizens, right? They did halftime shows. If we talk about content, Madonna, right? Katy Perry, her biggest song, well, I kissed a girl and I liked it, right? So if the issue are these kind of moral issues, then I think the people that are upset are like a day late and a dollar short, right? Because
that's
pop
interesting.
music has embraced all of these different things for many years.
Okay.
And I think understanding what the Super Bowl is about, like it's pop music. And if America is this melting pot is supposed to be, right, in terms of people with different viewpoints, and whatever
cultures, all
yeah,
that stuff,
cultures
yeah.
and perspectives. I mean, pop music certainly represents that. So
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, and I think too, like you were saying, with some of the controversial, different artists that have performed and stuff like that. I mean, obviously the most controversial one was the Timberlake.
the Janet Jackson joint.
Janet
yeah,
Jackson, the Janet
wardrobe
Jackson's-
malfunction.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So again, I agree with the controversial side of things with that as well, and I think that you're right when you come along the lines of the pop culture, what you were looking at, and that sort of thing as well. Definitely right in line with a number of those things as well. So Mateo, we're going to jump over to you before
Sure.
I kind of throw my 2 cents in on that as well, because I agree with you on the perspective of what you're going through with the pop star, with the popularity, with what they're doing, with the way that the culture presents what is already there, what we've already seen, and that sort of thing as well.
Well, I'm a big Bad Bunny fan, actually. I think that the media has done like a horrible job at dividing. So I think that everybody's divided, and that's why there's so much attention on that topic. Otherwise, I'm a big Bad Bunny fan. I didn't really like the performance, to be honest with you, because it didn't really highlight 1 or 2 songs. It was just like 20 songs, and it was like 5 seconds of each song. So I wasn't a fan, or I was a fan. I'm a fan of Bad Bunny, but I wasn't, too impressed with the show. But I think that the attention that got drawn into it was with the divide with America because of politics.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think it would have just been like another show. People would have loved it. Some people would have not, and that's it. Call it a day.
Yeah.
That's what I think about it.
Yeah, well, I think, another positive that he brought to it was the previous culture of what has occurred in Puerto Rico and the different, messages that he was sending, like with the electrical situation where he climbed the pole. I mean, and looking at that and obviously, my difficulty with the situation, I had no idea what he was saying. That was the big thing. And that's, partially that's on me because I don't know Spanish, but I think going back and looking at what it was and what it wasn't and some of the different things that he pointed out throughout their culture that you didn't understand, like the sugar cane and the difference, like I said, the electrical poles and those sort of things. Like when you go back and look at it, to from my perspective understand what the situation was. I look at it as almost disappointing that I didn't know what he was saying, because it would have been, a lot more beneficial for me and my kids, not necessarily to circle back and look at it, because I'm not going to lie. I had 2 TVs in my living room. I had TP USA on one and I had the Bad Bunny on the other. And the TP USA one was boring as hell. I mean, it was like not necessarily the old school marching band stuff, but the way they hyped it because of the political aspect behind it. You're thinking fireworks, shooting all this America, America, America. And it was kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever, and continually flipping back and forth between muting this one to hope we can kind of understand what was going on. I think the other issue with that from the understanding is there was no subtitles. There was no closed captions. So literally I had no way, and my 4 children had no way to really know what was going on, and that's what made it difficult from that perspective. But like I said, going back and doing the research, and my kids and I had a conversation afterwards about what some of the messaging was, about what some of these things were. So it was absolutely educational when you went to that route. I think personally the deliverance could have been different, especially from his initial push. Not so much I'm going to wear a dress and you got 6 months to learn Spanish, from the perspective of this is around unity. You're showing the diversity of the cultures. And you put this show into a situation where, as best you can, again, my opinion, where you do the first half, in Spanish to promote the culture and show, but almost come back in the second half, not repeating necessarily the same lyrics, but almost going through the same kind of deliverance in English to basically say, for those of you that don't understand what I'm saying, here's what I'm saying behind it. And I think that would have kind of taken away some of this political side of, I don't know, I don't question this, we don't know what he's saying side of things, at least from my
I agree
perspective.
with you 100%.
Because that to me is unifying. That's to me going, here's my culture, here's what I got, let me show you what I got, and then let me explain to you as a unificational situation of what I was saying and how I was saying it and why I was saying it.
Yeah, but I mean, to push back, right? Like, music transcends culture. And if you're ever out somewhere and a Bad Bunny song comes on, music, like I've been out and been places where music in Spanish comes on, and I don't speak Spanish, but it's cracking, and I can feel and understand what's going on from that perspective, right? So like to be invited into the music and the culture, like let him be authentically himself and do his music the way he does his music. Like a large population of Americans speak Spanish.
Sure.
Right.
You know, so like the
Right.
fact that I don't, you know, to see that for the Spanish speaking American citizens around this country and around the world is
Right.
huge. Not to mention the NFL has made a concerted effort to build a global brand.
Absolutely.
They're playing games all over the world. So it makes sense to bring an international pop star in.
Yeah.
And I was watching the Super Bowl halftime show last year with people, they didn't know what Kendrick Lamar was saying. He was speaking English.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Right.
that's not new. Like when Dre and Snoop and those, like, I don't know what they saying. I was watching it with some older people. They didn't know what was going on, but I did, right?
Yeah.
So I think the beauty of the NFL halftime show is that they do highlight different forms of music, different pop stars from different generations, different genres, because that's what America is, and that's what American music is, right? It's so many different genres, it's different types of music. So to finally get a full show in Spanish, it's a long time coming, right? Gloria Esteban flirted with it, right? Different artists at time flirted with bringing in Hispanic heritage and music to those shows. So to finally get a full, like it's a long time coming. And he's an American citizen.
Yeah,
I also take issue with this all-American halftime show as if Bad Bunny is not an American citizen.
And I agree with that. I like I said, I just think that the initial deliverance of the political side of it was such a turnoff for so many people. And it's like, if the deliverance would have been, I'm coming out, I'm singing my music, it's going to be in Spanish, we're going to do this way, and it wasn't, I'm coming out in a dress, because those are obviously within themselves such controversial things. And I get it, that's what the times are for what we're doing and what we live in, but I think that was like the edge of it that was the initial turn. And unfortunately, that's just the environment that we live in. It's an immediate, we're gone, we're switching, I'm this way or I'm that way, I'm this way or that way. And this is half the reason we do the podcast.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the reality of what the world really is and what people really want, you've got 85 to 95% of the people legitimately within reasonable on the same page. You've got these outside liars that are so far one way and so far the other way that it seems like that's all that gets the political push. The news is pushing you that way. It's the division that we see from both sides within the news. And it just, like I said, I think he not failed on the chance, but he had such an opportunity to really bring that much tighter. And I feel like it's a combination of the NFL not giving that unification, but it was the continuation of the division even throughout leading up to it. Then, like we say, then you got, TPUSA going, we're going to do our all-American, and it's like, there's more division, and you're literally pulling everybody to both sides,
Yeah. So let's go a little bit more into what some higher ups has said. Bad Bunny's 2026 Super Bowl halftime show sparked a major cultural divide in America,
100%.
featuring high energy Spanish performance contrasted with backlash from conservative figures like Donald Trump, who claimed it was a slap in the face. Despite criticisms, the show was widely watched. In polling indicated 60% approval for his unity message and 42% of America finding he represented the country well. What do you guys think about that?
I think it did create like more of a divide,
Okay.
and I think that they purposely did it. And I'm not with it. I'm Latino myself. I'm from Ecuador. I am a U.S. citizen, and I like Bad Bunny, but I didn't like the way they went about doing the show and what it created, because it just created more divide and more. Oh, you're over there and I'm over here.
So
There's
that
no
was
middle
kind of
ground.
offensive to you more or
To
less
me, it
than
was.
it was like,
Yeah,
like it was
to
like
me, it
a
was.
pleasurable thing or whatever have you, saying, hey, you know what? He's here for the culture and so on and so forth.
Right.
Wow, that's interesting coming from an Ecuadorian.
Well,
What
I
do you-
mean,
what
if
do
you
you
think
think?
about Bad Bunny's perspective, he got an invitation to do the halftime show. I don't know that he's the cause of controversy in the
He's not. He's not.
Because once he accepted the invitation, the announcement went out, and then suddenly there were all these comments and statements about why he shouldn't do it. So even his statement about you got 6 months to learn Spanish was a response to people criticizing the fact that he was selected to do the halftime. He's one of the biggest pop stars in the world.
But I think
And
the
he's an
NFL's
American
more
citizen.
behind everything. So it wasn't. It wasn't. I'm not. I don't want to say it was Bad Bunny's fault, but I think the NFL is a big culprit of it.
You mean in terms of making the choice, or in terms of creating backlash?
Both.
Well, but I think that's the business side of what you said about them trying to expand internationally. I mean, you've gone from having these games in the UK to games in Germany to games in Mexico City. Now I don't know. I think they're going. They might even be going to Spain next year.
South America
or South. Yeah. So I from the corporate side of things, it absolutely is driven for that, and they need to do that, and the NFL needs to, because the NFL is growing from that perspective. But like I said, it's like again,
to your point. They're a business, so they're about money. So they're not doing the right thing. They're just going after the dollar. What happened to Colin Kaepernick?
Yeah.
Right? So that was a racial thing, right? But he got taken out. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Wow,
it's just
that's
all it's
interesting.
all about the dollar.
It's all about the mighty dollar.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Well, that's
Would you agree?
unfortunate. That's what
They're not a non-
everything
they're not a
from these
nonprofit.
You think
corporations-
that's what it's about? You think it's more about
100%.
culture, or is it more about the where the dollar goes? Kirby.
I mean, what is it? 130 million viewers. So the proof is in the pudding in terms of. And Bad Bunny has a huge fan base. Like, if it's like I'm not a fan, but I can appreciate what he does and who he does it for, and all the people that gravitate to that music.
Right.
So I watch it as a learning experience. Like this is dope, right? The dude's got an Adidas contract, the sneaker like he's one of the biggest pop stars in the world.
And
at this
Adidas
point.
is in the building right now.
You know what I'm saying? So
actually.
like so for him, I didn't take any issue
It's in
with
the
him
building.
doing the show, with him doing it in Spanish, right? Like it's a long time coming, right? Like I
Right.
said, that representation matters.
Yeah.
And coming from African American culture, I know how important representation can be. To be on the screen
Right.
and see somebody that looks like you or speaks your language and dialect on one of the biggest stages in the world. I know what that does for kids and for young people. The validation that a degree of representation brings in a moment like
Well,
that.
and I
it's
think
powerful.
and I think too, like when he handed that Grammy to that little boy.
Yeah.
That and obviously
That was like a young him.
Well, yeah, that's exactly it. Everyone immediately ran to, well, this is the kid that was taken from his parents with ice in Minnesota, and it's like, no, that was him giving himself the Grammy,
his
saying,
dreams.
"Go live your dreams.
Yep.
Go
That
live
you
your
can do
dreams,
this.
yeah.
I was little you, and now look at me." And again, this is where, like I said, like that platform that he had, I feel like he could have done so much
He coulda
more.
did so much
Even
more,
and
yeah.
I'm not
But
even.
going to your point, it's the NFL dropped the ball. Because the NFL controlled, I would say they control everything that happened, right? They have to approve what's going to
Well,
happen.
and I agree
show.
because he didn't. I don't know. I didn't watch the whole thing because obviously I've got a younger daughter that bedtime for running that situation. I don't know. Did he even come out in a dress?
No.
Was he even? No. And I didn't think
No,
so.
he did not.
And I didn't think so.
And I think that's what
custom Zara suit.
Yeah,
So
well,
custom
that's-
Zara
because I
suit,
thought
yeah.
he had that nice
This is like daily wear for a lot of guys.
But that's also the
Except
point
for
as
the
well. Is
gloves.
you came out initially going, learn Spanish, I'm going to be in a dress, and then you didn't do an address. So there was already something there that you were pulling back on that you may not have necessarily known. Not that you shouldn't do it, but you were already thinking about what that message would deliver from when you said it to when you got on stage.
Yeah.
Now the question is, was that an NFL call? And Goodell's like, look, dude, with all this stuff going on, that's the one thing we kind of got to be careful of, especially with all these other sideways things going on with that particular
think it was an
situation.
NFL call for
or,
sure.
Or was it Bad Bunny going,
No.
you know what? Let me kind of balance this a
No,
little
I
bit.
think it was an NFL call because, okay,
Someone
so
told him not to do something.
football is like North America sport, right? Like North America, because I don't want to say America, because America is like South America,
And I
Central
appreciate
America.
and I appreciate what
Yeah.
he did with
North
that
American
American thing.
sport.
That was because again, everybody gets away from that we're the USA, we're America, but it's like there's more than just us from that perspective.
Yeah, so I think that they dropped the ball because honestly, North America, football is like their sport, and it's a very patriotic, get around sport to unite people. And they did a bad job with they want to divide people with that. They're like, oh, let's throw this guy in the mix, all Spanish performance.
I just don't blame America. I don't blame the NFL for it. I blame the political machine that takes beautiful moments and makes everything political now.
Yep.
And I think that's one of the challenges just with the time that we live in.
But with what you're saying,
Everything now is politicized,
Donald Trump is
regardless.
president. Why don't we rally around him and not vote no to everything that he's doing? Why don't we rally around it?
I mean, that's a different conversation altogether.
All
And,
right.
and nobody's
We're
ever
going-
rallied
we're going into
around
politics.
any president, right? Like the idea is that there's always opposite. I think the beauty of America historically has been you have two different parties that both want the same for the country, They differ on how to get there.
No.
And the art of, I'm saying
No,
historically.
Historically, but
And-
right
and
now
the
it's like left is like vote no against anything that Trump wants to do, whether it's good for black or Latinos.
Well, the narrative
Oh,
now
no,
in
we don't
American
want it.
politics
We
is
don't want it.
the other side is the enemy of democracy. And whenever we create that type of jargon around politics, then how do you work together if the other side is the enemy of democracy? And I'm saying whether you're talking Democrat or Republican, if the other side is the enemy of the United States, then how do you learn to work together? And once upon a time, American politics was this art of disagreement and finding balance and finding something that each party could live with to pass balanced legislation.
Middle
and that's
ground.
what's missing. Right, the middle
Middle
ground.
That's
I
middle
see what
ground.
you did there. That's
Middle
beautiful.
ground.
Yeah.
So
And
you know
that's
what?
what's missing, right? Like,
Let's
that's
go
what's
ahead
missing,
and
honestly.
man, thank you guys so much for your input, and I value you guys' opinion 110%. Let's go to the next subject though. What we really came here for, we're talking about mentorship, right? I think that's really important, right? So
you fired everyone up, and now we're
I
switching
know.
gears.
I was
messing
like,
with
Well,
you.
so
that
so,
was good.
so the
No, that
big
was good.
so the
For
big
real.
thing is like, if men don't have mentors, what fills the gap, right? And is mentor, and is it helping or is it hurting? And the big premise of this is men with mentors, and who are they learning from? So I want to kind of go into the position of who are they learning from? Who are young men learning from mentorship? Where are they getting their mentorship from? What do you guys think on that position? Rob, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I think, the mentorship situation is not necessarily failing itself right now. I think it's a challenge, and I think it runs along the lines of a number of different challenges that we're having with society as a whole right now. We've got computers that we walk around with in our hand that we get instant information from, instant gratification from. If you want to get a reaction from someone, you can get one in 5 minutes. All you got to do is go throw something out there controversial, and you'll have 14 different people telling you to kick rocks, and you'll have 14 other people telling you you're the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Right.
I think the digital age of things is pulling back, not so much from the middle, early 20s situation, but the concern is the mentorship situation going forward. I know from, myself being 45 years old and being a Gen X and being a can't wait for Oregon Trail to come into the classroom on Tuesday if we're
I
lucky.
used to love those days.
Yeah.
What's Oregon Trail?
Chill out, bro.
Yeah, exactly, Rob.
You're only 40. Stop playing.
To the
You remember Oregon.
to the
I don't know how to
legit
type because I was on Oregon Trail.
to the legit old school
Left,
floppy
right.
disk that flopped, to the
Right.
hard disk that was a
Yeah.
hard disk, to when we go into middle school at 7th, 8th grade, and all of a sudden you have computer lab and they're going to try to teach you how to type.
Right.
I mean, we had such a different experience in what we did and what we went through. I mean, we've talked about this on previous podcasts. I thank God, between Upside Down and Inside Out, that these weren't existent when we were younger,
for real.
because the stuff that could have been recorded, the stuff that I could have, would have, should have done, that would be public now, or is saved online, because once it's out there, it's out there.
Dang.
Compared to now, we're on such a monitored, under the eye situation from every angle that it seems everything goes that way. AI's going that way.
Yeah.
Everything is going, keep your face in a phone, keep your face in a phone. And the things that you learn from a mentorship, even guy to guy, even us talking in the green room and getting to know each other,
Yeah.
is so much different than the keyboard warrior of hiding behind what I do and how I do it. And I know with my mentorship experience, there are 2 or 3 people in my life that have been my mentors that were my mentors. Right. And I remember one specifically that I had in Arizona, and I was promoting it, and I'm 20 years old. I'm low level in what I'm doing, and I'm applying for this job. And I know I'm not qualified for it. He knows I'm not qualified for it. He comes in and he's like, I'm just going to be straight up with you. I commend you for applying for this thing, but you're not ready. And I'm like, oh, yeah, Frank. Let's go, Frank. What, and he's okay. He throws out a question, and I was like, and it was a question about, because I was applying for a manager position. I'm 22 years old. And he's like, so what do you do when one of your employees comes to you and tells you that your female, banker, has some, hygiene issues?
Oh, we talked about
Oh,
this.
yeah, man, I'm just going to, I'm going to go talk to her and this and that. He goes, yeah, and you're going to get sued. Because the first question she's going to ask is, why are you smelling me? And how do you know what I smell like? He's like, you need to go to a female colleague of yours
Get excited.
and get her to get involved. But again,
real, though.
but I mean, but at 22 years old, my ego and my aggression, not aggression, but my drive to be
Yeah.
successful, like I didn't even think about that. I'm thinking, well, this is my employee. Like, what do I care? Like, I know her, like she's knows me. Like, but you don't understand those things. And he's like, this is why you need a couple more years.
That's huge.
And the fact that he pushed me another year that way, and the difference of angle that I took viewing things from that lens, and that's what really pushed me forward. Like, it took me from where I thought I was when I was 22 to when I was 24. I was 25, 26, 27, bang, 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 moving, compared to what I could have got myself in trouble to without this mentor, at 22, 23 years old.
Definitely. So going back into it, so thank you so much what you're saying and whatnot. Any feedbacks from that statement?
I mean, mentorship, man, is about proximity, right? And relationship. To your point, so you look at the challenges and the dynamics of social media and being glued to a phone and what that does to hurt relationships.
Right.
Because now we think content is mentorship, and content is not mentorship. Like, it's always about proximity.
Right.
I'm a Christian
Right.
person. I mentioned I'm a church leader earlier. And there's this term in Christianity called discipleship. And it's about how you develop other people. And we look at Jesus in the scriptures, right? He had this way of discipling that was about relationship. If you read those stories, he called 12 guys and said, come with me. And so their development wasn't like a master's class. They didn't go to a school. It was in them like just being together and traveling and around the campfire, them asking them questions. Why did you do that? And why did you say this? And what happened? It was that proximity that helped them develop. And that's really what mentorship is all about, right? It's the men in our lives that we're able to walk alongside, right? To help us develop.
That you want to emulate.
Yeah, that's what you want to develop.
Yeah.
I think about like my mentors, like first my father, and I went to boarding school for high school. So there's two men specifically, right? William Pooter and Cedric Ellis that taught me how to be a gentleman and what does it look like to do those things. And then when I went into ministry, Dr. R.A. Vernon and John Hanna and my father again, like those men were instrumental in helping me learn my craft. And so it's conversations and those relationships and talking and asking them questions, that help develop me into the man that I am. And the problem when you don't have that, right, is you kind of guess and you pretend to be a man.
Right.
And we talk about one of the challenges with young guys specifically is that they're developing this form of masculinity that's not authentic because they're doing what they think a man is versus having relationship with real men that show them, right?
That's important.
Well, and I
That's
think part of that
important,
is
yeah.
like,
Question.
Wait.
How did you choose your mentors?
I think it was a combination of factors. Part of it was like I looked up to what they were doing and the stature they had. Part of it was those guys seeing something in me and saying, man, come to my office, let's have lunch. Come and let's have a conversation, especially younger. I think the dynamic shifts as you get older, you have to seek out mentors.
I think so.
I think when you're younger, mentors kind of find you.
yeah, because they see what you
Yeah,
have.
because they
and they
do
want to
find
win
you,
you
yeah.
because they see
Yeah.
some of themselves in
That's
you.
true. And sometimes the wrong mentors try to find you too.
Yeah, that's true. That's
For
true.
real. Yeah, I had a lot of
Because as an adult, I had to seek out people. Like, okay, where do I want to go? What do I want to be? Who are people that I see modeling that? Now, how can I then connect with those guys, build and ask them questions, right? Because their time is valuable. Just be like, will you mentor me? Like, what does that mean? What am I supposed to do? No, I went to them with questions.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
tell me about this. How did you do that? How do you balance these things? For me, it was always asking them questions as an adult. Again, as a teenager, as a younger person, I think it's a very different dynamic, right? Because you don't know what you don't know. But as an
You
adult,
think you know everything.
yeah, a true
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
But as an adult, you have to seek out men and say, man, you've accomplished some things that I'm trying to accomplish, whether it's professionally, whether it's with family, whether it's just like character and integrity, whatever those things are, you got to find people that are living those things out. Like, man, how did you do what you
Right.
So what do you think motivates you to reach out to somebody to mentor you, and what do you think motivates you to mentor somebody?
Ooh, those are great questions.
Yeah.
I think part of it is understanding that you don't have everything you need. Nobody becomes great by themselves. So that's a
Iron sharpens
reality.
iron.
Yeah, nobody becomes great by themselves.
100%.
Anybody that accomplishes anything great in this world, you can always point to people that helped them along the way.
Yep.
We have this myth of I pull myself up by my bootstraps. That doesn't exist. because all of us.
I mean, I don't know.
And no,
I don't know if I
it
agree
doesn't.
with.
But I think
it doesn't take away from hard work and effort. I'm not saying people don't
Right.
work hard,
Right.
but what I'm saying is, to do anything great, you read something that somebody else wrote. Somebody gave you an opportunity you didn't deserve.
Mm-hmm.
You reached out to somebody that taught you skills to help you. You know, like greatness doesn't happen in this vacuum. Like I just decided I was going to be great and I did it. There's, you know, so when you recognize like I do need other people to get to where I want to go.
We're going back to like Jesus and the disciples. Same thing.
Well, I was
Yeah,
going to say,
yeah,
and you
there's
have
a
to have humility as well, because
That
you have
part,
to
yeah, yeah.
recognize that I can't, like you said, I know, look at me, I did this all by myself. I pulled up my, like you have to have that humility to be able to say, I need that help. Or not that help, but I need that guidance. I need to be looking to understand I want to be the best, but I'm never the best, and not the best yet or the best that I can be.
So let me ask you
just
this.
answer his second question.
Okay.
The flip side is, as a man, how are you then investing in the communities you've been a part of? Like once you start achieving and you get to certain, like how are you reaching back and identifying who are other young men that I can begin to help
Can wing.
pull up, work with to help them achieve things?
It takes
I
a
think
certain
that's
maturity
huge.
level to
For
get
sure.
to that, to want to help out the community. Though.
Sometimes
sure.
I think at the end of the day, because I mean, there's young mentors as well, right? There's guys that are like 2 years older than you or 3 years older than you, and they're like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna help you out because I like you. I see a lot of potential in you. You're a really good dude. So I had like a lot of those guys. Maybe they meant well, but they really didn't really accomplish, the deal from whatever I thought it was gonna be, right? So at the end of the day, it's like,
Because they're young,
well, they were younger, yeah, exactly.
no experience in life.
Right. So I guess the big question is like what is this like? So who are we learning from? And from what you were telling me, you said it was your father, and it sounded
That
like
was the
you
first
had
mentor, for
Oh,
sure.
sure.
you had a
that's
couple
no
other
question.
people. What about you? What about yourself?
So kind of like going off to what you're saying is, I think that a lot of stuff you have to learn on your own. And there's a saying in Spanish que is El diablo sabe más por viejo que por diablo. The devil knows more because of how old he is than because why he's a devil.
Mm-hmm.
So like,
That's
serious,
it's like old wise, you know. So why are you learning from your father? Because he's older. He went through it, and sometimes you got to go through it as well to gain that experience. There's one thing we can't buy in life, and that's experience. You got to go through it. You got to fall down. You got to win. You got to do whatever to gain that experience to be able to be successful and then to be able to be a mentor. Because if you haven't went through it, it happens in sports. You know, you got a young team. I remember OKC, Westbrook, Durant, Harden.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't win the championship. They had everything they needed.
That's right.
They didn't win it.
Yep.
They didn't have the experience.
Too young. Yep.
They were too young.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then what happened after that? They split up, and then nobody really did anything. I mean, Durant went and won some championships with Curry,
So here's
but it's not his championship.
So let me ask you guys this, because it sounds like we're all kind of almost unison. So the big thing from middle ground, we haven't talked about if we're left leaning, right leaning, middle, libertarian, whatever like that. And it may matter, it may not. But the biggest thing, what we're looking at.
Well, I think
What we're
Kirby's
looking
laughing-
for-
I think Kirby's laughing to some degree because the reality of it is, like we said, you can't, as separate as we are, if we do pick those.
Well, so Kirby, you're right leaning, right?
It
Yeah.
depends.
You're a
No,
pastor.
he's a.
You're a pastor.
Well, no. All right, wait. Are we about to do this?
I mean, you just threw it
We
out
do?
there, bro.
Let's
You
do
threw
it.
out there.
Oh, we about to do this.
I mean, I think because the reality is one thing at the table, and we seem to find this consistent theme with everyone that we have on.
Let's go.
Is
Let's do it.
our base is the faith of what we have from our foundation for our morality.
Yeah.
I mean, I have not asked you this, Mateo. Are you a Christian?
I'm Catholic,
Okay.
but I do Bible study with Christians.
He's about to be. He's about to be a Christian.
But
And I attend Christian church sometimes. I went to church a couple weeks ago. It was St. Mark's, which is Catholic. So I was born a Catholic. I was baptized a Catholic.
yeah.
But I still do Bible studies
yeah,
with Christians.
but what I'm saying is
What a
we
Christian
all
church.
have the underlying moral character of that side of it. So regardless of that aspect, to me, that's where, like we were saying earlier, everyone on either side wants to get to the same spot,
Yeah.
and everyone wants what's best for everyone. We just have different visions of how we get
Yeah.
there. Now, I'm not saying again that you don't have those outlying crazy things going on either end that seem to be the popular way for, you know, the media and social media and politics to play against each other for the division, when the reality is left, right, libertarian, whatever. We're really all a lot closer in these things than what is projected at us.
I would say, I mean, you're a pastor.
Yeah.
You know the Bible. You read it. You study it. You live
Absolutely.
it. You breathe it. You
I
preach
do my
it.
best. I do my best.
Right. So the Bible is not, you know, like this. It's like a straight shot. It's, you know, the teachings, and that's what it is. It's black or white. And with the left, I believe they want to bend the rules a little bit. Yeah, abortion is right because of this. Yeah, you want to be gay, you can be gay because of this. You want to do this, so you want to build excuses.
So
You want to build excuses to sin. And then the right is more like, no, it is what it is, or it's not what it's not. You know, so I think that the left does a good job at like bending the rules to make themselves feel better about sinning. And the right is more like, you know, this is a sin, this is not a sin, this is how you should do things, this is not you know, so I think God is very jealous, and you can't have 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So decide what you want to do.
So I'll say two things. One, God doesn't have a party, right? He has a kingdom. And he calls people from every nation, every tribe, every political system to his kingdom. So as Christians, the first thing we got to understand is God doesn't have all of these nations around the world per se. He has his own thing that he has built, that he invites all of us into from out of whatever nation we come from. Second thing, I would say the right and the left bend the rules in different ways and different rules. And that's why I struggle politically, because I look at the right and I say, man, these things align with what I see in scripture, but these things don't. And I look at the left and I say, yeah, these things align with what I see in scripture, but these things don't. And so I find myself constantly trying to balance all of these things, but refusing to be wholeheartedly engulfed in either party, because neither one of them represent a complete biblical worldview for me.
I think like
If
the
that makes
discussion
sense.
of the question was like right and left. That's why I went that
Yeah,
way.
yeah, no, yeah.
But to your response, I will say, when Jesus saved the prostitute from getting stoned, he said, "Okay, get up, you're good," but he didn't say, "Hey, go on and keep sinning."
Yeah, go and sin no more.
So there's a lot of Christian churches, for example, and I've attended, I still continue to attend sometimes, the one Journeys. So I think Journeys is more of like, yeah, everybody's welcome, everybody keeps sinning, Jesus loves everybody. But Jesus is love, but it's also very strict, and it's like, yeah, okay, Jesus came to shed his blood to forgive your sins, but it's not, yeah, keep sinning. Go sin 10 more times. Doesn't matter. No, it's like try to better
It's the
yourself.
consciousness of the
actually
sin.
real.
Consciousness.
That's
And then
real.
it's
That's
read the
real.
Bible. And then once you start reading the Bible, the Holy Spirit can act upon your soul. And then you can start to do better. I don't think anybody ever really changes, because we got DNA in us, right? That we have certain tendencies, but you can start to better yourself. So like if you go to a church that constantly says everybody's good, yeah, go steal, go murder, go do whatever you want, you're welcome here. They're just trying to gain attendance. But if you really go to it, it's like, yeah, Jesus forgives all your sins, or we will be forgiven through Jesus, right? But it's not like, yeah, go keep sinning.
So what comes down from what I'm hearing from you is you're saying that the truth is what God's word says, but people try to bend the truth and try to have excuses
To not feel as guilty,
or have other pathways
or
to
not as
explain
shitty
it
for being a
off.
shitty human being.
Okay.
And,
okay.
and I would say I agree. I think there's a lot of that going on.
A
I
lot.
think,
Yeah.
I think the essence of the gospel is we're all welcome because we're all sinful, broken humanity and flesh. Come be involved in this relationship with Jesus. But the goal of this relationship with Jesus is to transform your lives.
Absolutely.
And so that's why we walk with Jesus, so that our lives can
better
be
ourselves.
transformed, right?
Yeah.
And so these things, these issues, these proclivities, as we walk with Jesus, we're ultimately transformed and changed into his image. And so we're able to find freedom from these things. Every sinful lifestyle, we're able to find freedom. And so on one hand, everybody is welcome to this relationship. But the
Yes.
idea is that this relationship will change your life.
So the gays, the killers,
Absolutely.
Everybody.
Everybody's welcome into a
everybody.
Yeah, so
relationship.
I was in a
So,
Bible study,
yeah, that's
and
true.
Everybody's welcome
they
to a
asked
relationship with
they
Jesus.
asked everybody, and this is a Christian church, by the way.
Mhm.
They asked if we're having a Bible study and a gay man comes, is he welcome? Every single person that said no, because it's a family setting, they shouldn't be welcome. I was the one who said welcome them in. You know why? Because Jesus would welcome him in. But you're not gonna say, hey, come in, continue to be gay.
Hey, and still be gay and like still
Yeah.
try to hit on other men. if
So
you're a man,
and it's
you
not
know?
like overnight they're gonna stop being gay.
That's
But
what you're saying, right?
yeah, you're gonna study the word, preach the word, and everything else, and maybe hope and pray, and maybe hope that they would, go outside of those tendencies.
Yeah.
I mean,
Makes
my
sense.
hope for the church
Yeah.
is that as we invite people in that are broken and are sinful, that we would find the balance of grace and truth, or as the Bible says, truth and love, right? Where we invite people into this relationship. And before we get to stop, we start with, okay, Jesus loves you, and this is what he did for you. And that as you begin to respond to that, you begin to change.
But
And I think sometimes we make the mistake of we put stop up front.
right.
Now, I'm never saying sugarcoat the gospel, pretend like things are okay, because it's not. Because
Yeah.
one of the questions we get, because our church is multi-ethnic, and so we got a lot of different people. People often assume or ask, well, is it an affirming church, right? And our answer is no, we're not an affirming church. We accept people that are LGBTQ+, but we're not affirming of the
Like
lifestyle.
anybody.
Exactly.
A church is like
Anybody,
a hospital.
yeah.
Who
If
usually
you're
goes
a
to church?
murderer,
Who usually goes to church? People that got
you're a
problems
glutton, you
mentally
eat too
that are
much.
saying, you know what, I
Well,
did
yeah.
this and I need help. Or I'm
And-
going through illness and I need help.
and the-
I'm going through this. Nobody's like got a perfect life. Oh, I'm gonna go to church because I want to go to church. No,
But see, what I
church is
see,
like a hospital.
And
what
the
I,
thing
what I
that I-
see, because we're not even really talking about church right now, but we are at the same
We done
time.
got into it now.
But we didn't got into it. We
You're the
done,
pastor.
we
It
done,
wasn't me.
we
That
done
was-
got
listen,
into
the pastor
it.
didn't start this.
We
Mateo
didn't got
did. I just
into
want to
it.
throw this thing.
But I
I
mean,
always said
I mean,
one day maybe I'll become a pastor.
but,
but this-
but at
but
the end of the
this-
day, no.
But
At
this
the end of the
feeds into
day,
the mentorship as
at,
well.
at the end of the day, like true mentorship comes from God. That's what I really believe. But also at the same time, God is a God of love, right? He loves us. He cares for us. But God is a God of hate as well. He hates certain people. And he
I would
hates
say he
certain
hates
things.
sin specifically.
Well, it says in his word that it says he hates certain people and what they're doing, and he has
Could
love
you say
for
what?
them.
Could you say what?
Well, I mean,
Because I've read that.
There's
I read the whole Bible. Gays.
Well, it's not just gays.
yeah.
It's not just gays. It's
Yeah,
it's
what's the word?
people who are sinning,
And
people who
refuse to
sin.
stop. Yeah.
And it's
And
not
refuse-
just refuse to stop, but it's sin. At the end of the day, that stings his nostril.
Yeah. And to be
At the end of the
clear-
day, and wait, hold on.
My bad. Go
Hold
ahead.
on, family.
Because you were being smooth the whole time. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I mean,
Rob,
but like,
go
I mean,
ahead.
I'm trying to be chill.
Nah,
I'm
he's
trying to be
nice.
chill. I'm really trying to be chill, man, because I'm trying to, like, really
Let
hard.
it loose, Rob.
But I can't because of other reasons. But at the end of the day, what I can say is that God is a God of hate. God hates certain things, and He wants us to turn away from those things.
Right.
And at the end of the day, like we should try to help people and be helpful to them. Let them in the church, not to bash down like, hey, you're a gay and you can't blah blah blah, but teach them, hey, you know what, God has a plan for you.
Yeah.
God can change these things for you, but you have to look for that. So then here's the cutoff point, right? So the cutoff point, because you decided to bring this up, and you were talking about it as
He
well.
opened the door, didn't
So he opened the door. So at the end of the day, like what it kind of came down to is like, but if we continue to be in our sin and you're there and you're still declaring to be gay and to hit on other men, or if you're a woman, hit on other women, and you're bringing that sin into the church has a responsibility to act accordingly to what that is. Now, it might have to be outside the church because you no longer can come to that church in that position if you're in that position according to what God's word says.
Well, I think some of it revolves around shame within those individuals as well. You know, as deeper believers in some of the understandings of, the teachings of the Bible and Christ as well, we understand that our shame is given to Him and He takes that. For those that aren't necessarily as experienced or engulfed in the church, that shame still stays with them, regardless of everyone saying, well,
Yeah.
you're accepted, you're here, you're welcome, you can be here.
No, because they lie to themselves.
But that's what I'm
So
getting
it's kind
at.
of like a car.
But that's what I'm getting at.
You know when it
Their
rains a
individual
lot?
shame
Like
within
at Country
themselves.
Thunder, it rains a lot, right? And you're parked on grass, and you're trying to spin out, and
Yeah.
you're spinning out, and you're trying to get out, but you can't. Why?
And then
You're
as
not changing
believers,
anything.
as believers, we need to still love on them, still be there for them,
Pray for them.
but pray for them and so on and so forth. But sometimes they're not going to be
Not
accepting
judge
to
them.
that. I mean, no, you're going to still judge them for what they're doing.
Only
but
God
you're
can
gonna,
judge, but-
No, that's not true. Well,
So-
God,
so
God,
let me
God-
let-
let me
let Kirby rip
jump
on
in
the
right
judge
here. Let me jump right here.
situation. Yeah.
So
That's
I
not
think the
true, though.
challenge in the church is that believers are called to judge one another. And what that means is we go to our brothers and sisters that we see in sin, that we see tripping, and say, hey, man, this is not what God has
From a
for
place
you.
from love.
From a place of love. This is not God's best for
Spreading
you.
the word, yes.
And I want to help you
Yeah.
walk in what it means to be free from this sin and to be free from this issue. So in the context of the body of believers, we're supposed to be there for each other in that way and call out sin in one another in a way that is loving and kind and responsible. Let me say responsible. Because when we see video clips like from the pulpit, like, and you this and you, that's not responsible
You're
correction
talking about
necessarily.
fire and brimstone, but
Yeah,
no, it's
hold on, but let me
yeah,
finish.
I got you.
I think the issue is that too often I think we who are Christians want to try to judge outside of the household.
And that's what
of
I'm saying
faith.
about the
And this
shame
is-
side of it.
Yeah, this is the thing that I've learned. I don't have any condemnation for people that don't know Jesus. I don't even want to get into, are you gay? Are you this? Are you doing that with people that don't know Jesus? Because step one is come into this relationship with Jesus. If you want to do that, then I can talk to you about what that means to walk in a relationship, what transformation looks like for all of us. But too often we want to create a standard for people who haven't chosen to follow Jesus. And that standard doesn't exist for people that choose not to follow Jesus. You know, so when I'm in,
But ignorance is not an excuse either.
Well, no, but that's
but nobody is won to Jesus through sin and shame. Like I'm saying, like me, if I'm talking to a friend of mine that's gay, and all I'm pointing out is, man, you gay and that's not right. Nobody's ever been won to Christ that way.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying about the
So
shame.
what I'm
the
saying
shame
is
I
like
wouldn't do
side
it
of
that
things.
way
the,
either.
the
No,
first
no.
thing is first. It ain't about me focusing on your issues if you don't know Christ. It's, man, listen, I want to tell you about Jesus because this relationship can change your life.
It's a deliverance.
Yeah,
it's, a
and then when
it's the
you- 'cause you
initial
gotta go through-
deliverance that means more. And
Yeah,
like
you
I'm
gotta
saying,
go through that process
because
of being
because
transformed. You got to choose that process.
and I'm saying the shame side of things to some degree, even from like my own personal experience. Like I grew up in a Catholic home. I grew up going into church. I was an altar boy for a number of years, and like everybody else, and I-
Monaguillo, like Bad Bunny would say.
you know, but it's like, and now I don't want to say like everybody else, but I veered away. I've had my, instances where I did that, and it's been back and forth, and sometimes, and then you run into some very difficult situations, and you can get wrapped up with culture, with the mentality, with everything that is non-spiritual in this world to keep that shame. And no matter what I do when I go in there, or what you do when you go in there, you still have that unworthy feeling. And I'm not saying that that's where I'm at now, but I've been in those places in
So
my
have I.
life.
Yeah.
And I think that once you can get that shame piece out of you, and if we can approach this, or people can approach this, and you would know better than I, being a pastor, to get through that and release the shame and take away the shame that they have, that cracks now this is how you get the relationship with Jesus. And again, I'm not by no means a biblical expert in any way. I'm saying this from like an everyday general Joe's perspective of, because society, Jesus this, Jesus that, I'm not doing that. Like you said, I'm going to keep sinning, I'm going to keep sinning, I'm going to keep sinning, I'm going to keep sinning. How do you like, you gotta, I think that's
think about
the
this.
breakdown.
Yeah.
Is getting people over the shame initially to listen, because like you said, you're grouped in there, and when you're with the people that are in the congregation continually and they do something sideways, you've got no problem calling them out, and they're not afraid that you're calling them out. They appreciate that because that's what you do. But you got someone
because there's trust.
All
Yeah,
right,
because
and
you- yeah,
safety of
on this
relationship.
note, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a little bit of a break right now.
could have at least let me finish my
And-
point. Rob.
No. We will finish it.
But I'm just saying, like,
Go ahead.
Is there a
I
bathroom
think
break
no.
or-
Yeah,
yeah,
bathroom break.
I think that's the biggest hurdle with new
Wait, are you
people
offline or are
coming
you
in.
online?
No,
No,
we're
we're
online.
on.
We're
Are you
on.
online?
We're
Well,
on.
he'll edit this, but
We're
and I just don't want to forget where we're at with the line
For
of
sure,
thought.
for sure, 100%.
I think, again, I'm not obviously not a pastor. I go to church just like the rest of everybody. You know, my kids, we practice this stuff. It is what it is. It's in our house. You know, I just think, to me, just my observation is it's the shame thing that is the initial get that out and get past that, because that's what opens it up. Because that's the concern. I'm not worthy. Some of these people doing these things, the drugs, the gays, the this, whatever, they know to some degree it's shameful. They know that they're sinning. And if you can get over that little, it's because it doesn't turn into you need Jesus. Jesus, it takes the stigma of society out of it. And there's no reason to be shameful. And I don't say that there's not reason to be shameful in what you're doing, but positioning it to grab that hook and almost give them the self-recognition to realize that I shouldn't be doing this. And I'm not glossing over that we shouldn't push to help people, but I think that's the turnoff. The turnoff is they feel like they're shamed. They come into these situations, know they're doing things wrong. If they're drug addicts, society tells them you're jacked in the head or you got problems. Then they come in and, oh, we love, and then and you try to do that brotherhood with the trusted member of the church that's there on that individual, and it's like off-putting. It's like the pressure. It's like, whoa, where did this come? Because they're not used to that. They don't understand that kind of love. So it's almost like getting past the shame for them to understand that the love is there, and then pushing the love.
All right, let me say a final thought before we go to break. When you look at New Testament Christianity, right? God doesn't use shame and guilt to draw people. He uses love and truth. So the issue, and I think I hear what you're saying, is yes, accountability matters, but shame and guilt is never the vehicle. And this is the thing I learned about sin that humbled me, right? None of us choose the things we're tempted by in this life, because all of us are born into sin, right? We don't choose to be tempted by homosexuality.
Born into it. You're born into it.
We don't choose to be tempted by drug abuse or whatever, sleeping around or whatever the issues are, right? You start talking about wrath and anger, about like we don't choose to be tempted by these things. Now there's freedom in Christ from all of it, but we don't choose that. And we can begin to look at one another and recognize, like, this person didn't choose this. They're tempted by this by nature. Mm-hmm. It helps all of us kind of take a step back. And one last thing, there's this moment in scripture at the Last Supper. Jesus is sitting at the table with the 12, right? And this is before he's about to be arrested that night and then crucified the next day. He sits down with them and he says to them, one of you will betray me. The Bible says one by one, they run around the table and say, is it me? Notice nobody said, oh, not me, I would never do that. All of them recognize, man, under the right set of circumstances, I could be the one to fail this way. And it was that degree of humility and a recognition that we don't necessarily choose the sin we're tempted
Except for
by.
Judas, though.
Judas
Judas kind of came and said,
But he didn't say. But he didn't say.
But in that moment,
But he didn't say. But he wasn't like, it's me. It's me.
No. He already no. What he said during that time, he said, Rabbi. What did he say?
You tell me what he said. Pull it up.
Well, I don't know. He said Rabbi. You know, he looked at Jesus as a mere teacher, so that showed there was a disconnection of if Judas was a true believer of God or not.
Right, but my point is the other 11 all were like, is it me?
The other 11 did.
Nobody took the
But I wanted to make
assumption-
sure we talked about Judas.
Of course, because we knew one of them was going to betray him, right?
All day.
But nobody made the assumption, I wouldn't do that. Because there was a humility and understanding, like, man, if we're not careful, sin can trip any of us up. Mm-hmm. So we need to be alert. We need to be vigilant. We need to be humble.
Mm-hmm. And we got to pay attention to what people say.
And truth and love, right? Those two things together, I think, are extremely important. Mm-hmm. Because much of what you were saying earlier is love without truth. Everybody's okay and it's going to be fine. Mm-hmm. But then if it's truth without love, then it's harsh and it's shameful and it's guilt-driven. Yeah. So it has to be truth and love together. Mm-hmm. It has to be this recognition of humility. Like, listen, we all been there. We've been broken. And maybe my thing isn't your thing, but I recognize what sinfulness is like because I was there.
Mm-hmm. Then I said all the time, I tell people all the time when I try to preach the word or whatever, I say, hey, I'm no better than you. Mm-hmm. I might sin harder than you. I might do things that you think are horrible in your book, right? So I don't want to act better than anybody, or I don't want to say, hey, I don't sin, or I'm the most sinful person.
Sinner of sinners.
Yeah. And
I'm not saying like you.
I battle every
That's
day.
a little much, Rob.
No. I mean, that's what Paul said. Right?
said,
I
I'm
battle
chief
every day
among
with it.
sinners.
Chief
But go
among
ahead.
sinners, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I battle every day with it, you know.
We all do, man. You know.
I
But
think we all
Yeah.
have, or we've all had that.
but I guess I have that, I don't know, it's army mentality or whatever.
Sure.
It's black or white.
What have you
It
done,
is.
bro?
I don't.
Chill out.
Yeah, but,
Chill out, man.
but yeah, but I mean, you know, like I said,
Bare your soul. Tell us all of it.
Hey, listen, this is a podcast. Okay, we're trying to get some good
But
clips
I'm also
here.
not like the fake person go to church and like, oh, everything's gonna be
Yeah,
good,
well, and that's-
I'm gonna keep
and that's-
sinning or whatever.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Habitual
So-
sin is not.
Well, I mean, that's almost like
not
the
good.
worst that you can do because it's like, okay, I'm gonna jack off and I know it's terrible. I'm sorry. Give me. Oh, then you're gonna fucking jack off 10 minutes later.
It's
Again,
funny. It's funny, but you know what?
example
It's funny, but it's
But
like,
that's-
at
but
the
that's
same
what I-
time,
you
like
know?
a lot of guys have struggled through.
Or I'm gonna sleep with 10
jacking
women
off
and then I'm
and
gonna say I'm
masturbation.
sorry, then sleep with 10 more.
At the end of the day,
You know?
because it was a thing. Like maybe you started it when you were
That's what
pornography or
again,
having-
terrible
promiscuous,
having
direct
sex with a
throw
lot
out. But
of
you guys knew what I
women.
was saying.
Yeah.
I get it. I get
You know,
it. Yeah,
it's
for
like
sure.
it's like you said. It's or I think you may have said it earlier, Mateo. It's like, oh yeah, you know, forgive me for what I done, and I'm gonna run out and do the same damn thing I just asked for forgiveness. You know what you're doing, and you know that it's shameful when you do that. This is kind of where
You're a pastor. Do you remember? I might be wrong too.
We were supposed to stop. Okay,
Matthew-
Take a break, eh?
we were supposed to stop.
Matthew. Should we take a
one,
break?
one more, and we'll stop.
You remember
Let's go.
Matthew 13:33? I want to say maybe.
I'm gonna have to look that
Let
up.
me get the
Hold
book.
on,
You
wait,
gotta
have it
hold on,
memorized.
hold on, wait,
We're all.
And I might be
hold
wrong
on
on which
I'm
one
gonna
I
get
wanna
it
say.
first. Watch.
Matthew.
What they say?
Matthew.
You might.
Let's see.
You might.
I got a point
Where's
with it.
Matthew 30. What did you say?
13:33.
13,
I think it's that one. I don't know.
33.
It says another parable.
That's the one.
Spake he unto them, the kingdom of heaven is like unto leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of a meal till the whole was leavened.
So I would do
Leavened,
the New
sorry.
Testament so everybody could understand because
no.
So-
So what I do
NIV
is
or
I
New Living
do
Translation or something?
I do comparisons. So what I'll do is I'll do the Amplified version. It says he told them another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like leaven, which a woman took to and worked into the 3 measures of the flour until all of it was leavened.
Leaven.
Leavened or
Yeah.
leavened,
You know what
whatever.
that means, right?
Jesus, what does leaven mean?
Leaven means it's without.
Okay, so Jesus told
It's
them.
flat. It doesn't
Yeah.
rise.
That's
what do
how
you
yeast-
what do
because they
you
use it back in-
interpret with that word right
So
there?
I'm gonna read New Living Translation. Jesus also used this illustration. The kingdom of heaven is like the yeast a woman used in making bread.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Even though she only put a little yeast in 3 measures of flour, it permeated every part of the dough. Right? And so
Okay.
it speaks to how corruption permeates.
Yep. How
Right,
you
is
get
that
this
what you
little
get
bit
at?
in and it
So
goes all the
so
way.
what I was looking at is okay. So I would say we are the dough.
Mm-hmm.
Every human being is the dough, right?
Yeah.
The yeast is the word, like the Bible, and the woman that's mixing the yeast and the dough is the Holy Spirit. Okay, so obviously the dough can't be the bread without the yeast. It can't be the bread without the woman. The woman can't just mix the dough without the yeast or whatever. It's a whole, a whole thing going on before the dough becomes bread,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So I would say we're like the dough. And if we continue to read the Bible, which is the yeast, the women would continue to mix that,
To need it.
and then we'll become the bread, right? And then the woman that's mixing is the Holy Spirit. So if we don't read the Bible and we don't
That's
educate
interesting.
Hold
ourselves
on
with
a
the
minute.
Bible,
Wait a
That's
minute.
interesting.
Hold on.
That's very interesting.
So he says the kingdom of heaven is like the yeast. So the kingdom of heaven, right? Relationship with Jesus, the rule of God is like yeast. I think Jesus is talking about how something that starts very small
yeah,
can ultimately change and transform the entire world.
yeah,
So the kingdom of heaven, right? This small group of people that want to
that's
bring
one
the
way to
kingdom
look
of
at
heaven
it. There's one way to look at it.
into this world can ultimately transform and change the world.
Mm-hmm.
It was a parable about encouragement, right? Because it says the kingdom of heaven is like yeast. So that's the comparison we're making.
You
What
can
is
do all the
kingdom of
mix.
heaven?
You can do all the
It is-
mixture
it
that
is-
you want if you don't have the
It's
kingdom
not
of
even
heaven.
about sin. It's just about how God will take this small thing and use it to transform this world. I don't think it's
So
I
he
don't
would
think
say-
it's a parable about sin at all.
No, it is, because he would say, for example, us three or four, and we're spreading the word. We're spreading the word, so we can get to that where we're spreading the word so hard that we can transform the world, right? So it could go either way.
Which means
They go
you
either
gotta
way.
you got
And then if you go back to 31,
you gotta live it too.
if you put both parables together, the kingdom of heaven like a mustard seed planted in the field, it's the smallest of all seeds, but it becomes the largest plant in the garden. So again, something that starts small can ultimately have a huge impact.
But you see
I
how
think
you
that's the
but,
point of
but
those
you
two
see how you
parables.
say start small and then have a huge
Mm-hmm.
impact. So you could start as dough, which you're like not cooked. You're not bread yet, right? And you're the most sinful person. But if you continue to read the word and feed your heart, because the heart is where it needs to go, right? If you feed your heart with the word, with the Bible, the Holy Spirit will act upon you. It's mixing everything together, right? And it's going to transform you into being ready to become the bread to get into the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah, I don't think that's wrong. I just don't think that's what Jesus is saying in that verse specifically.
And
but I think in terms
That's the
of
beautiful thing about the word.
Well, I think
in
I
terms
see, but it talks about
theology
bad
makes sense.
loving too.
Yeah.
It talks about Matthew 16, 1 through 12. It said a few chapters later,
Y'all, we
Jesus
have a
again
Bible study? Oh, wow.
used the image of leaven, but in a much different sense. He tells disciples, "Watch out and be aware of the leaven of the Pharisees and the Sadducees."
It's the word.
So at the end of the day, what we have to really remember is that there's going to be a lot of words that are going to be out there, like social media, right? So social media is going to tell us a lot of things that probably are against God's word
That sound good, don't
that
they?
we
Oh, my
want
God.
to like really believe on. I mean,
Facts.
we should have ended this a long time ago, but you guys got started. So at
It's
the end of the day,
y'all fault.
I mean,
talking about mentorship.
I'm trying to chill.
Yeah.
I'm trying to chill.
You read that
So
other word.
so
You
at
read
the
that
end of the
other
day,
word,
no,
right?
I'm not done. So at the end of the day, we look at social media and we see we see that we have a lot of bad information. So we're leaning left or right, and some of them are biased, but a lot of it's against God's word. And we see that God's word says a certain thing, and we have to, like you said, we have to read it. We have to accept it. We have to make sure that we decipher it. And we need to do a couple things. So what God requires us to do is to read his word, to repent, to pray, to forgive, and to be around other people that are believers, and to gather around, right? Other people, right?
To be a part of a community.
To
of
be a
faith.
part of the
That's what I would
community.
say.
Right,
Of
yeah.
faith.
So at the end of the day, we have to do those things. If we're not doing those things and we're not seeking those things, then we're going to be the bad living, and we're going to believe the social media lies.
You're
We're
gonna
going to believe
You're gonna
all
lack
those
leaven.
things, and then we're going to have other things that are going to scare us, like these Epstein files that just came out. And they said that they're grinding kids' bones, or there's cannibalism there, and all this other crazy stuff. Whatever, who knows what it is? Maybe it's true, whatever it is. But we have to keep our eyes focused on God, just like you were saying, Mateo. Is that we have to continue to keep practicing that in ourselves, and we have to inspire other people that are around us in that position. And we have to make sure that we're not going to be what is it called? Habitual sinners. Yeah. We can't habitual sin. I can't be like, man, I want to forgive. God forgive me having sex with this woman that was really beautiful, and I'm doing it every single day. I can't be doing that every day. So welcome back, guys. We're really super excited. We want to make sure that we talk about mentorship.
We were talking about mentorship.
I mean, kind of.
Yeah.
And what fills the gap.
Let's get off topic.
And what's helping and what's hurting. And I think we forgot the what's helping and what's hurting point on the mentors.
Well, I think we touch on that with the side of the social media and the influence
Let's move forward.
Society as a whole from that perspective.
What changed culturally and socially, you think?
From the perspective of
mentorship.
it is. I mean, you hate it's social media. I don't want to bring everything back to social media, but you've got keyboard warriors that hide behind this thing, that don't know what they're doing, that believe everything that they read. When you've got NPCs and AI bots feeding you the information back off of your logarithms. If you ask me, I think that there should be a simple reset of your logarithm where you can logarithm that they use to feed you what you think you want to hear or what you want to see. Algorithm, that's what it is.
That boy said logarithm.
I mean, that's a math term.
I was
That's
gonna
why
say
it's a
that.
math
I like
term.
logarithm.
It's a math term. That's why it's numbers.
I like that.
Algorithm, ladies and gentlemen.
Algorithm, yes.
Okay, hold on.
Thank you, Kirby.
I got a thought to add to this part of the conversation. I think in some ways, the last like 20, 30 years, maybe a little longer, we've seen kind of a deterioration of what community looks like. And that's across racial lines, that's across socioeconomic demographics. I think overall in our country, we've seen just a departure from community, right? Like people don't know their neighbors anymore. Like growing up in neighborhoods felt like neighborhoods.
Wow.
Whether you lived in the suburbs or
That's
whether you lived in the
huge.
inner
Yeah,
city.
I remember
Like,
that.
you know, like you
Yeah.
grew up with like the person down the street would yell at you if you were doing something wrong
Yeah.
and you immediately responded. I think as people have kind of drifted more into individualism and separated from one another, you don't trust people. So mentor, like, who are you, old creepy dude, telling me that you want to teach me something? Like, who even are you?
Yeah.
Like the posture is so very different.
Yeah.
You
That's
know,
a
and
great
so we
word,
talk
the
about what's
posture being
different, even
The posture
you know,
is
even
different.
even when you go back
Like
to segregation and all the challenges we've overcome,
Right.
community still existed in our country, right? And people
100%.
helped each other
Yeah.
just because you live 2 houses down.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as that's deteriorated over the years, it makes connection more difficult. And so young people don't trust older people, and older people don't trust younger people. And everybody's like pointing fingers at one another. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hate to be the old guy, like back in my day, but
Yeah.
that's where I'm at this point, age-wise. So I try
You
to
know what? We-
tone
we-
it down to
we-
understand,
we
right?
like
Because in the
kinda
90s,
kind
it
of
was,
support that, kind of.
it's hard to not be like, back in the 90s, it was lit. Like,
Well, I mean, and
you
that's
gotta try to-
and that's the thing. I mean, if you seriously look at the situation between the three of us and our ages, right?
Four of us.
Well, he's a little younger,
He's 42.
see how division works just that quick. He's a little younger.
but what I'm saying is what I'm saying is, do you feel like when we were in high school that the dynamics of what is going on from a race perspective in society is as bad then as it is now?
What decade are you talking about specifically?
I'm
He
talking
just
when we
told
were in
you.
high
He
school,
just
like
said-
when
he just
like when
said
we
high
were in
school.
like I'm talking early 90s into high school through high school.
Yeah.
Like the dynamics of the division of that perspective. I'm not, and again, I'm speaking from a different point of view than you
Sure.
are. And we've had other conversations on other podcasts about this as well, with similar age groups and stuff like that. I
Yeah.
again, my personal experience and what I see the way that it was like our parents' generation suffered through a number of different things, including the civil rights aspect of things. And I feel like where we were at in the late 70s, early 80s, as we were growing up in the 90s, the cultural pressure that you hear in the media today and the division of the race side of things today wasn't nearly as heavily dynamic or heavily weighted as it was before from an interactional perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that we made a lot of progress in terms of kind of race relations and building towards unity that seems to be rolling back in some ways.
That's perfectly what I was
currently,
trying to say.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't say that what we're experiencing today is the worst it's ever been. Right?
No.
And I'm not saying you didn't say that either, so
Yeah.
I want to be clear. Because obviously we know there were generations with very extreme racial prejudice and division, and we talk about segregation and like slavery, so we know there were times when things were absolutely way worse. But to your point, I mean, I guess I can agree with there seem to be movements toward unity and understanding as we drifted through the 90s and that era that seems to now, that gap seems to be widening, even in the context of people trying to understand each other and trying to work toward building something that is unified.
I like that. You know, and kind of switching gears into that position as well. What do you have anything you want to say?
No,
No?
you're smooth.
We was talking off camera about Rob being smooth on the mic. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
So we
right.
started laughing when
Okay.
you did that.
So,
It's like,
Hold on, be serious, be serious,
welcome
be
to the
serious.
cool nights of the moon. Yeah.
oh yeah.
What was it? Was it there?
Hey,
Someone was
they
like,
say
Camel 103, the smooth jazz.
We gotta have like a women audience here, like one day, like a whole women. Like a whole women.
What do you?
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
You had a point, didn't you?
Cut it out. Okay. How many men grew up without guidance, you think? How many men grew up without guidance, do you believe?
Percentage wise,
Yeah. How many? How many? Do you think it's a majority or small amount? Was it
60 to 70%.
You think so?
Nowadays, yes.
Yeah,
Nowadays?
the
Nowadays.
percentage is definitely
No,
increased.
nowadays.
Well, why do you think that?
Look at the divorce rate. So 55%.
Explain that a little bit more for our audience because they may not understand that.
So what's the divorce rate? Look it up. You got the computer.
The divorce rate? What's the divorce rate?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's about 86%.
It's even higher than what I thought. I thought it was like
it's not.
55%.
76
It's not.
or-
It's not.
Wait. Are we talking about
I'm thinking
who
it's like
causes
55%.
divorce?
Oh, no.
Just what's the divorce
Yeah,
rate?
what's a
in United
divorce?
States
What's
of
a
America?
divorce rate as
Okay,
a
hold on.
general number?
What's the divorce rate?
I
In
bet
the
you.
United States, though, not
I
in
think.
the world.
I think you're right. I think it's probably between 55 and
56.
60.
56.
You know.
Real live research, ladies and gentlemen,
What
right
do you
now.
think it's at?
2026.
I don't have enough
26.
data
This is
at my
2023.
fingertips
Before you release
to answer
it,
that
what do you
question.
what do you think it's at?
I don't know.
Just take a guess.
I can't.
Why don't
You can't be
just-
wrong when you guess it.
I
You're
can't.
you're just guessing,
Can't
man.
be
Bro,
wrong.
don't be like that, bro.
Yeah,
on
don't
my
be
pod-
like that.
on
I
the
can't,
podcast.
bro.
Just take a guess.
I can't take a guess.
You can't take a guess.
I can't take. I
You
don't
can.
know. I honestly don't know.
So just
guess
take-
of
so
the
take a
divorce
guess.
rate
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the
Uh,
United States.
in the
not
United
world.
States.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess 40%.
Okay. I like that. So this is national rate in 2023. So this is the
United
number for
States though, right?
2023
Yep.
in the United States.
National rate in the United States.
2023 or
Uh,
2026?
2023.
2023.
So why don't you get a 2026?
Well,
They're
they're
not
not
gonna-
doing
they're not
that.
gonna-
Based on the early data 2026, the U.S. divorce rate remains 50-year low with a crude 2.4%, 1,000 population in 2023. Approximately 35 to 40% of first marriages are projected to end in divorce, with rates for second and third marriages significantly higher. Divorce rates have been generally declining since the 1980s.
But then the
So
question
divorce
is,
rates have been declining.
but what's the marriage rate difference
So-
if you're going into that route?
So do you see marriage rates? Is that what you were looking
Well,
at?
yeah, because if your
So-
divorce rates are going down from the 80s, obviously society isn't looking at more divorces right now, which means there's got to be less weddings because you have way more single family homes than you would have had previously.
Well, maybe. Let's.
Well,
That's is this narrative or is this data?
Well,
So that's why I'm curious as to
he's-
what.
he's looking,
data. We're looking at data. We're looking at data.
you would think based off of the reality that the marriage rates have got to be down equivalent to offsetting the divorce rate.
So it says as of 2026, the divorce rate indicates that the continued long-term gradual decline in divorce rates, with estimated suggestions that roughly 1/3, 33% to 42%
Okay.
of the first marriages end in divorce. The crude divorce rates sit around 2.4, 2.5 per 1,000 population. Roughly defined indicates that it's 14.2 to 16.9 divorces per 1,000 married women.
So look at the marriage rates and let's see the difference in marriage rates compared to a percentage of the marriage.
Marriage rate?
Because if you're running at an 80%
cloudy
marriage
data,
rate,
right?
yeah, that's
Yeah.
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 I
That-
mean,
that
We have to
doesn't-
do a whole podcast just
Yeah.
sifting through data.
So at the end
So
of
it's
the day,
saying
what
between
it- what it-
35 and
what it
40%.
seems like as if is that a lot of the marriage rates are declining, but why?
But
Why is
divorce
that?
rates
But also, let me say this: divorce doesn't necessarily mean a lack of guidance. Because how do we determine in what instances do those kids? Number one, how many are male, and then what instances do those kids still have a father and a mother in their lives? Because in you know, like you got to some of those situations, divorce doesn't mean a dad is now absent from their lives. It means a kid has to deal with a mom and a dad that have different households. So I don't even
And
know if
different
that.
points of view.
Yeah, I don't even know if that data necessarily answers our question necessarily either. You know what I'm saying?
So higher education, higher education attainment. Sorry, increase.
These are
education correlates.
factors for divorce rates declining.
Low divorce rates are.
Yeah, low marriage rates is number 3 on there.
yeah.
So Google what the marriage rate decline has been, or what the marriage rates have been from 1980 to 2025.
You're supposed to have those.
1980?
This is gonna be a rabbit trail.
Wow, that's crazy. Well,
Hey man,
no,
I know
we're gonna have
numbers,
to
but
look
I ain't a
this
book
in
of statistics,
'cause
brother.
Chat GTP.
So this is from some 1980.
We don't have this information because we're half off topic.
well, we didn't. That's
Well, whatever,
this is what it was
2023.
about.
Let's see.
Okay, so wow. So, based on the results of February 2026, the marriage rate in the United States has experienced a long-term significant decline, roughly 1950% to the present, with 46% to 47%. U.S. households have been married couples from 2025 to
Yeah.
2026, down from 66% in 1950.
So you've had a 20% decline from 1950 to 2026.
Wow.
And you've
That's
only
huge.
had like a 13 or 14%
huge.
decline in the
Yeah.
divorce rate.
Wow.
That's your
What,
caveat.
what do you guys think about that, Mateo?
What's the question? Because I didn't
What do you
understand it.
think about what we just said? Do you want me to read it again?
Read it again.
Based on search results from February 2026 to the marriage rate in the United States has experienced a long-term significant decline from roughly 1950 to the present, with only 46 to 47% of U.S. households being married couples by 2025 to 2026, down from 66% in 1950. And then we have other.
So the bottom line is less people are getting married,
Yeah.
which is why the divorce rate has declined.
But you can see that.
I know. But that's where it circles back to.
Yeah.
That's why the divorce rate has declined, because you don't have as many marriages. You're at a 20% deficit in marriages. And go back to the statistics on the change in divorce rates now. It's not equivalent to what the marriage rate is.
Right, exactly. So
I think
mean,
we got what, a 20% difference here,
20%
and you had like a
difference.
13 or 14% difference in the divorce rate.
Why do you think that is, Mateo?
I think that the culture nowadays is a little bit more open to fornication, right? Fornication. And then men don't want to deal with the headache of relationship, and then women are just so easy to go and open the legs. Sorry to say it, right? So I think women should respect themselves a little bit more. I think if that happened, it would change a little bit of statistics, but I think that men would also appreciate a woman more if they weren't so easy right away, right? And I don't want to blame everything on women, because then guys are
going that route.
no,
You finna get ate up in these comments, bro.
No,
I
no,
just want you to
no,
know.
no.
You finna get ate up in these comments.
No, because-
I mean, I think this is a good content. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that men also, they put a lot of pressure on women sometimes. So I don't want to put it all on the woman, but it's just, I don't know, the culture that has been built, right? And then also going back to like the music, everything we listen to, and it's like, oh, you're a bad bitch, you're this, you're that. It's like, so that starts to get into people's heads. So what you listen to, what you do, what you see, what you eat, So
Now, do you think that most women think they're a bad B?
I don't know. For example, if I wanted to settle down with a woman, I wouldn't want her to call herself a bad bitch.
Okay.
I would say that. I don't know.
That's huge.
What do you guys think? Do you want a bad bitch, or do you want like a good woman?
Bad
My
B?
wife is certainly not a bad B.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't want a
Certainly
bad
not.
bitch.
I've been married 20 years now, over 20 years,
Yeah.
right? I think you mentioned culture, and I think that's spot on. I think toxic masculinity and toxic femininity has led to the decrease.
Toxic masculinity.
yeah,
Toxic masculine. I think.
You said it in nicer words.
No, that's real. Because
No,
I
but
think
it's real. Yeah.
I think as we have blurred the lines of what gender roles look like, and as men, we've embraced a form of masculinity. Maybe this is connected to mentorship, right? This form of masculinity that is about conquest and promiscuity. Because when you think about the culture around us, right? When a man sleep with a lot of women, what are the things that we call him?
Oh yeah, you're awesome. You're a pimp,
You a
dude.
pimp,
Great, go on.
you
Yeah.
a
the
boss,
master key, right?
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like you're looked at with adulation from other men, right? When a woman sleeps with a lot of dudes, she don't get the same names in terms of
It's a
endearment.
worthless lock,
Yeah, right. Like,
open by any key.
but it's real though. It's real,
real.
right? So when I talk about toxic masculinity, I just mean the way that we measure manhood with conquest and dominance and multiple women and not settling down, and you ain't tricking, so you a sucker if you are nice to a woman, take a woman out, like all the gentleman stuff. And you mentioned like music, like listen to R&B now. Cause I grew up on, R&B, put on your red dress and your high heels and I'm finna take you on a date and show you like that was the R&B now is bad bees and, lay on your stomach. Like this is the R&B. I ain't even talking about hip hop, right?
But a lot of guys
R&B
are putting
music.
on
That's
high
what I'm saying.
heels
So
now,
like
too.
when you look at,
100% agree with them.
when you look at gender roles, when you look at masculinity, when you look at toxic versions of femininity, right? You mentioned like that boss chick mentality, where women can be domineering to a point, right? And
I don't really
I can do
believe-
it by myself, quote unquote.
I would have to
so
say-
I think both of those things that with one another.
I don't
have led
really-
to people saying, "Why get married?"
I understand what you're saying, and I think you bring some good points up. I mean, I would think that toxic
That's a tongue
masculinity
twister.
doesn't exist, and toxic what is it?
Femininity.
Doesn't exist either. I think at the end of the day, like there's femininity, which is not toxic, and then there's masculinity, which isn't toxic. But
Yeah,
I
but you're
understand.
being-
I understand a play
You're
on
being
word.
deeply philosophical. What I'm saying,
wait.
let me say it a different way.
No.
Let me say it a different way though, to disarm the argument. The way people define femininity and masculinity.
Let me finish.
Because you're getting to authentic forms of both.
Let me finish real quick.
Yeah.
So I mean, at the end of the day, what it comes down to is that we can have these terms, but it doesn't mean that it's toxic in that position. So do we have bad actors? There's definitely bad actors. There's bad people. There are people who do things the wrong way. But at the end of the day, does that mean that they're toxic because they are a woman or a man?
Absolutely
X, Y, Z?
not. I think we're saying the same thing.
So at the
Hold
end
on,
of the
let
day,
me just.
so like maybe you're going to explain it like that, but let me finish. So at the end of the day, what I'm saying is that that's why I don't agree that there's such thing as toxic masculinity. There's no such thing as toxic femininity. It's either you're feminine or you're not feminine. Well, you're feminine or you're masculine, woman or man. That's it. And then at the other position of that, either you're good or bad. And maybe there's a middle position
Well,
to that
I
too.
can say it a different way.
I mean,
The way
say it
people
a different
choose
way,
to
bro,
live
like
out
that's-
and represent their masculinity or femininity. Because what I'm saying is there is a philosophy that says this is what it means to be a man. And it's a bunch of stuff that's wrong for young men to do and pursue and be. So when I say toxic, I mean people are often defining their manhood, saying to be a man means to be this. And that's not what it means to be a man. And the brothers sitting at this table know these aren't the things that define your manhood. So that's what I mean when I say that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like people are clinging to these false perceptions of what it means to be a man or a woman.
Right.
The toxic
okay.
masculinity.
That makes sense.
So when I say toxic,
But I want to make.
But I hear you because other people
I want to
use
make
that
sure.
term,
I want to make sure
and
that
there's a
I'm
very
very
specific-
clear that
I hear what you're saying.
I don't agree with toxic masculinity or toxic femininity, because at the end of the day, either you're masculine, you're a man, or you're a woman.
Yeah, but
X, Y, and Z, or you're either bad or you're good.
But
And
when I
that's
say
what it comes
masculinity
down
or
to.
femininity, I'm
And I
talking
understand
about
what you're
the
saying.
philosophy of what it means to live out these principles.
Yeah.
And that's what's convoluted.
That makes
That's
sense.
what's
But I
convoluted
mean-
in culture. That's what's convoluted in culture.
Let me jump
What
into
does it
what he's
mean
saying
to
with
be
with the
this?
culture
You see
side
what
of
I'm saying?
things. So my take to this on some degree is we've pedestaled women to a certain degree, and we've let society bring us to that point. And I'm not saying that, I'm going to use your words, the toxic masculinity and the toxic femininity within society, which isn't necessarily the directive of true masculinity and true femininity, has been skewed to the point where, like I'm saying, where you're pedestaling the woman to a certain degree, that she's the ultimate prize, that she gives everything and anything that you want, and yada, yada, yada. Now, when you look at that from the biblical perspective of what you're supposed to do as a leader and a husband, that makes sense because of what is built in within God's word, the way you do that. The problem is the society has pushed them to such a point where our value isn't what their value is from that side of the take. And I say this from the perspective of, you know, and I talked about this with my kids, right? I've got a 13-year-old who's getting into girls now, who's in middle school and that kind of thing, and he's completely nervous to talk to women, right? Or to talk to girls or the pretty girl or whatever. And I overheard him talking to his older brother. My oldest son is almost 18. And I went to them and I told them this, and I was talking to Rob about this earlier. I said, you got to approach the situation like you have a case with $1 million in it when you walk up to her. You can't tell her what's in the case. All she knows is that you have the case, and you talk to her and you try to convince her that you have to have this case, right? She doesn't want the case. She doesn't take the case. So you walk away, but you know what's in the case, and you know what you're bringing to the table, and you know what you're offering her. She doesn't know that. You're the case. The man is the case that you're carrying, and what you're bringing to her and you're offering to yourself to her in this instance. She doesn't understand what you're bringing. And this is where, like we're saying from the societal perspective of, and I don't want to get too nuts with the toxic femininity, but it's almost like the entitlement of the woman's expectation of a man isn't realistic for what society has and what we have from a biblical perspective. The expectations of a man are, this is the core difference of some of what we talked about of even this podcast, explaining how men think and how simple that we are in what we do. We go to work every day. We bust our humps. We provide for the family. We put food on the table. We provide shelter. That to us is dedication to the family.
Right.
That to us is showing that we care.
Right.
The understanding of that from the other side, outside of those that are involved in the church, and that's not good enough. And so the difference is how they see the value we provide to the actual value that we provide, and the difference of those core principles or those core things. Our jobs are protect, provide, make sure everybody is safe and everybody can function, right? We will give up our and
You see my face.
Well, boy.
and we will go on beyond our means, working 40, 50, 60 hours a week to ensure that foundation is there. That's our job. That gets overlooked. Then you come home and it's like, well, it doesn't matter that you work 60 hours. You're not helping with half the shit in the house.
Yeah,
and
you
again,
need to be mopping
these
when you
well,
come
and
to the crib.
I'm not saying that from the perspective of that's how every family function works or that's how it is. But if you look at the reality of, the traditional side of things before women were fully in the workplace, right? It was the women stay home, the women take care of the kids, their natural DNA of nurturing the children and taking care of the family. That's completely changed. It's now, well, I need a career.
Charlie Kirk said,
Who's Charlie Kirk?
Yeah.
man.
But it's that's how I see the downfall is the masculinity of women is pushing back against the actual underlying values of how men feel they provide or how they provide from our perspective, and there's a disconnect there.
But the failure of men is that we think our role as providers is just about money
Well, I'm not, but
and paying bills.
But I'm not saying that
And
from
it's
that
more than
perspective
that.
either. Because
I don't
you
even
still
think
need
it's
to-
that. There's a lot of men that
I'm just saying.
the women pay everything and they want to sit at home and play PlayStation or whatever.
Yeah, that's
You
why.
know what I mean?
For sure.
Women playing
sure.
PlayStation?
No,
the
men.
The men
At home.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Women are
yeah,
paying
yeah,
all the
yeah.
bills.
But what I'm just saying, we talk
That's
about
kinda weird.
provision and
Very
what that
weird.
actually
That's
looks
weird.
like.
Yeah, it's really
I would
weird.
just say our role in the home is more than just providing financially for our family. And that's where you get into emotional attachment, providing identity to our kids. And what does it mean to give yourself for your wife? Sacrifice, according to scripture, and all those other things. Because sometimes we think because we make the money, that's enough. And I think that there's cases of marriages and families where dad made the money and paid the bills, but he wasn't there. He wasn't locked in with the family. He didn't do homework with the kids. You know what I'm saying? Like there's experiences and things that we need to be able to teach our children and support that we give our wife, that we bring to the home, that is not just money. And sometimes we like, man, I'm paying these bills. You safe. What else do you want from me? And I've talked to a lot of guys that are like, why has she got a problem all the time? Like I work 2 jobs. I do X, Y, and Z. I pay. And it's understanding that provision is not just financial, right? And so I think that's an element at play in a lot of cases, right? And so we have to, we have to learn in some instances, what does it mean to be fully present with our spouse and our family, right? As we're able to do those things, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes
So
makes a
that's the
lot
only
of sense.
caveat I want to bring to what
That
you're saying.
makes a lot of sense. I mean, at the end of the day, like we have to bring peace. Peace is important too. I think peace inside of the household is super important because I think at the end of the day, sometimes we like to try to, like men try to like, you know, what is it? I don't even know the term for that, but sometimes we like to try to push the envelope a little bit. And then, you know, sometimes we don't try to bring peace in some kind of way, shape, or form or whatnot. But it's to bring peace into that household. Sometimes you have to sacrifice yourself as well. So being sacrificial for your family, being a man, you have to sacrifice your feelings of what the status quo is. And then it comes down to compromise. Am I compromising if you're a man of God? And I think this is the only way you can really see it. Am I compromising the word of God or am I not? If I'm compromising the word of God and I'm just letting let's say what he was saying, he touched my shoulder, the LGBTQ community inside the household, you know, what does that look like? And then also like, how hard am I hammering that position in my household, right? When should I let things go and what does that look like? And am I truly bringing peace into my family? I think peace is really a big part into that position. So we have to look for guidance. Like, where do we get that guidance? So a lot of life without mentors, or we're not connecting to our mentors, men, is growing up. And I think this is an important part. Sometimes we're not really connecting to the strong mentors in our life. We're not really connecting to the people that really have, you know, that real presence or that foundation or whatnot. How many men grew up without guidance?
And I think the challenge sometimes is the facade we put on, right? Like, it's so difficult for men to be vulnerable around other men.
Yeah.
And so we talk about the need for mentorship.
I think that there should be more.
You got to be willing to admit, like,
Yeah.
I don't know this. I'm struggling in this area. I need some guidance or help or direction in this part of my life.
Yeah.
And so often when we're around each other, you don't get none of that. You get all the bravado.
Yeah.
You get all the, you know,
But it's
how often we
important-
got
it's important to
homeboys
have
that's
that,
like,
though.
well, I
Yeah.
mean, in its
Yeah.
place.
Yeah, in the place
like,
of it.
like, I mean, there
Yeah.
is I'm not knocking confidence, you know, and the willingness to be like, I can do anything. I can conquer challenges. There's a place for that. But bravado takes confidence into a fictitious place, right? Bravado it becomes a mask or an exterior that we put on that's not authentic, and that's part of the problem.
I
About
think
mentorship and those things, like,
when
you
I
know,
think it's lack of vulnerability too.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
exactly.
because again, the vulnerability that you have with your guys or the people that you hang out with, like, is, if you don't have that group, if you don't have a situation like a podcast like this to talk about it, how many guys are just, you know, rolling up and eating it and rolling up and going with it and having the tensions build up that way as well. You know what I mean? Because if you don't have the community to be talking to or someone to bounce it off of, I mean, again, and it's obviously evidence in the male suicide rates. You know, that like men eat. Our generation has been taught, you're a man, you eat it, you shut up and you go.
Yeah,
you pick
you
up your
carry
boots
that
and
weight
go.
on your shoulder by yourself, and you deal with it.
But that obviously is not healthy.
Right.
And that, I think, also sideways plays into what I'm saying against what you feel like you're doing and how you feel like you're providing, and the disconnect between literally the biology between men and women on how they operate and how simple we are as a species, and the lack of understanding that, you know, the other gender has with us, of how simplistic that we are, and then the vulnerability of not having those communications or that comfort level to talk to people, because not everybody does, is kind of where that spiral goes.
That's huge. That's huge. Anybody want to comment on that? No? All right, let's go.
Kirby's got something.
Go ahead, Kirby.
I also want to make sure that as we're talking about this, I think in some cases there is a lack of understanding, but I don't want to be so quick to pretend like, oh, women just don't get it.
No. I'm not.
Because I think sometimes we suck at communicating, especially when it comes to our actual emotions.
Correct.
Like, we can break down a football game, the ins and outs with perfection. Like, we can debate and argue, but when it comes to our own emotions, we typically struggle to articulate our emotions other than showcasing anger and aggression.
Right.
Because we've been taught that that's what men are supposed to showcase.
Yeah.
So what
So how
should
difficult
women
is it?
What should women do? Should they Should they ask questions?
Well, I
Should
think
what do they,
it's
what
more
should
of
they do?
as you mentor people and you go into this and you talk to other people.
We laughing at the Rob voice. This is a serious conversation, but
No.
Here we go smooth. It's funny.
or
It's
maybe
funny.
we're
We get
not.
smooth.
I think it comes down to the fact that we're acknowledging what the situation is and what the concerns is that lead to some of this. That as we mentee other people, it needs to be known that, or it needs to be discussed that you need to make sure you're talking to other guys, that you're getting what you need and you're bouncing things off of people. You need to let it out. Like, you don't want to call go see your therapist, but I mean that's not a bad thing either. And it's more to get it out, to get a different idea of things bouncing around,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Y'all play all the time, right? No, but this is good though. This is good.
No, but I mean, what men wish they have been taught is about money, relationships, self-discipline, handling failure. I think that's a big thing that mentors give.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at the end of the day, like, we are mentors to an extent to somebody's life. Whoever's watching this podcast, I think that's big. So let's go into it. Like, who teaches men now?
To do what?
Who teaches men now? Like, who are men's mentors? 18 and older. Even if you're younger, like 16, 15-year-old young boys to men. Who teaches them?
I mean, I think you got to find those people, right? And I think it's on the, I think it's on
Who's
the onus
teaching?
of those.
But who is teaching them, whether they're good or bad?
Oh, okay. Who's teaching them whether good or bad?
Wait.
Regardless, like he said, I mean,
Yeah.
who's teaching them?
Is it
Well,
music? Is it social media?
Well, that's
is
the
it
thing
all these
is-
things?
is-
it teachers?
Oh, you're going
Is it
that
guys
way. Okay,
you know what I'm
okay,
saying?
okay,
Like,
okay.
who are the
like
people that are-
who's the influence within young men now
Right.
that are teaching them what masculinity is supposed to look like?
And let's keep
is
it real.
dangerous?
A-
What's
a lot-
dangerous?
a lot
What's
of them
helpful?
a lot of them just teaching each other. We talk about what's dangerous. A lot of times it's a group of boys with no mentors that are just trying to figure it all out on their own.
Yeah.
And they're going on whatever bits and pieces of advice they get from each other. With nobody that's older and further along in the journey,
without
to give any
actual
type of insight.
experience of someone
And that can be a
providing
challenge.
that.
And sometimes that's a lot of reasons, right? It can be a lot of reasons. I think some of it is because older men have been so wrapped up in their own day to day, they don't sometimes look back and are willing to mentor. Sometimes it's that disconnect with, like, I tried to talk to this young man and he didn't want to hear me, or he could, like, there's a lot of reasons why that is, right?
Right.
But I certainly think we talk about what's dangerous. You just got a group of young kids trying to figure it out together. I mean, I applaud them for forming some sort of community amongst themselves. But without wisdom in the center of that community,
Yeah.
it can easily become something.
Real bad.
You know
quick.
what?
Yeah.
You know what
I
I
mean,
mean?
we don't know the specifics, but there was something that just happened. There was a young 16-year-old boy that he lost a life. Did you hear about
In Kenosha?
that? In Kenosha.
Yeah.
So a young 16-year-old boy, he lost his life. And there were two other assailants. There were young boys. One was 16 and one was 19. And I guess they both of them came to want to try to rob each other. And it had to do with guns.
Yeah,
right?
they're supposed to be buying
Yeah.
Buying guns.
allegedly
Oh, I
somebody was
saw
buying a
those.
gun.
You see that?
Like a
And
mix-
Did you hear about
I
that?
think
Yeah.
3
Mix-
people end up being
mix-
shot.
Right.
Yeah,
So I don't want us
somewhere-
to talk on specifics because, like, there's a lot of people hurting
Absolutely.
in this position, and I would like very tread carefully on your
Absolutely.
response to this. But, like, what are your thoughts on this from a mentor perspective? Because we have to give a perspective to this. We can be silent on that, but is that being a mentor?
I mean, for me, it just speaks to the need for more of us men to be willing to step up. And whether that means volunteering at a high school or middle school or community center, like, more men have to be willing to step up and be there for these young brothers, right? In terms of providing that mentorship. I said earlier that when you're a child, typically the onus is on an adult to attempt to reach out and build that mentor relationship. When you become an adult, you seek out your mentors.
Yeah, it's
So I
true.
think more of us have got to find ways to reach out and build
Yeah,
those
reach
authentic
down
connections
instead of letting them
with
reach
young
up.
folks. You know what I'm saying? And approach it with humility.
Yeah.
You know, because the beautiful thing about mentorship when it's right is learning becomes a two-way street. Like, when I get opportunities to talk to younger brothers, it's not just about what I got to teach them. I'm learning things from their perspective. I'm learning things from their experience. I'm learning, oh, why do y'all say that this way? Or why do you think this about this situation? And so there has to be a mutual respect that comes along with mentoring, where you are willing to hear younger people out and respect their positions and their perspectives and try to understand where they're coming from, whether you agree or not, you know? And just, like humbly seeking out those relationships and opportunities, man. I think more of us got to do that,
Well,
for sure.
I think, like you said, it's the honesty, it's the straightforwardness, and it's the vulnerability. I mean, I know at least with my kids, like I'm continually when we get in situations that are heated and I'm correcting their behaviors or discussing with them, like, look, I'm not doing this to be a dick, dude. I've been a 12-year-old boy before too. I've gone through this, Same thing with my younger ones. I mean, my daughter's, 8, which that's going to be her own another challenge in itself because I'm not a girl.
Right.
But I tell them all the time, especially now my, soon to be 18-year-old, it's like, dude, it's to the point where I'm like, bro, like this is my first round in life, just like yours, man. Like I don't have all the answers. I'm learning every day, just like you are now. The only things that I can give to you that can help you now are the experiences that I've been through, the situations that I've had that are similar to yours. So this isn't, again, and me trying to belittle you or make you feel small or just tell you that you're wrong. It's I've been there and done that. And I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I've made going through this.
Yeah, we have the benefit of other people's experiences to learn from. And that's the thing. You don't have to learn everything by experiencing it. And that's the power of mentorship, I think.
So with the middle ground conversation that we're having right now, we want to talk about healthy mentorship and what that looks like. Advice versus the example. What's the advice versus the example that we see in society right now? We'll go with Mateo.
Read it again.
What healthy mentorship looks like, and it's advice versus the example that we're getting in society.
It's hard because when you give healthy mentorship, I think that people shut it down. Mm-hmm. And if you give like bad mentorship that aligns with everything that's going around media, social media, whatever, they like it. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know at that point.
What about confidence versus arrogance?
I think it's good to be confident. I don't think I've ever really been arrogant myself. I've always been confident. But confidence helps because you go and do what you got to do when you got to do it.
Right.
Arrogance could be like an enemy to yourself because maybe you think you're better than everybody else and then you're not, and then you fail.
Yeah.
Okay. That's my thoughts on that.
What about guidance versus control?
So I think
okay.
myself.
Okay. And be real.
Yeah, I'm being real. So I think that I've always been more like,
this.
I'll try to control the people that I want to succeed instead of like guidance. So I like sister, brother, son, whoever, I try to like control because I know that I become successful financially, right? I don't want to say all around, but financially I become successful. Nothing to something, right? And I try to give everybody the blueprint. And I find that everybody always asks me for advice or whatever, so I try to control. And I try to tell them, do this, do this, do this, do this. They don't do it, and then I get pissed off, and I'm like, man, you don't even listen to.
Yeah.
Free game, right?
I understand
the
that.
blueprint.
I understand that.
So I think that's a flaw of mine because I try to control instead of.
But I don't think that's
guidance.
a flaw because I think with that within your guidance is based off in the control aspect of what you're saying is control yourself as I guide you through this because that's the path that you've taken. Almost like I said, I tell my 12-year-old dude, I was a 12-year-old boy once too, bro. Like this isn't me just spewing shit out of my mouth to say anything. It's I've been there and I've done that. I've been in your situation. I've been 13 and not nervous to go ask the girl to the dance or nervous to the girl like it's so I think the guidance and control piece is you kind of selling yourself short because that's your direction of stability within your
You know
life.
what it is that I've so many people like my brother, my sisters, any close friend that I've had, I've given them the blueprint because I've been there, done that. Came from nothing to multimillionaire now, right? And I don't do that to toot my own horn and say multimillionaire or whatever, you know. But I give them the blueprint. I went through this, did this, this works, this doesn't work. And nobody ever listens, right?
But that's guidance because you're spelling out how you did it and why you did it, and you're showing the result. That's not control.
yeah, but nobody ever listens.
But,
So maybe I'm
that's-
doing it wrong.
Well,
I
no,
guess.
but that's also the onus on them from the aspect of taking ownership and using that advice and using that guidance. I mean, like I said, I could tell my son till I'm blue in the face on how I did this and what I relate and how I relate to you. If you don't take what I'm saying,
But I agree with you because what I say like that saying in Spanish, like el diablo sabe más por viejo que por diablo. So like in English, the devil knows more because he's old than because he's the devil. You know, it's like experience.
Yeah.
So I lived through it, bro. When I started real estate, 18 years old, bought my first house. I was about to walk away a couple years in because, you know, I was asking people that had more real estate than I had. How do you do this? How do you do that? Can I get some workers? Can I get this? Can I get that? And they were all giving me the wrong advice, giving me the fucked up workers and everything else. So I was going backwards. I was losing money on real estate the first 2-3 years. I was hiring the workers that didn't know how to do the jobs, and I had to pay second, third, fourth time to do the work, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't screening tenants. I wasn't, so like any tenant that came up to me like, hey, I got a couple $100 and I'll pay you the other half of the rent later and I'll pay you the deposit in a couple months or whatever.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
come on, sign on with me, whatever.
Yeah.
First 2-3 years, I was losing money. And then I'm like, what the hell? Like, I was about to sell the first few homes I had. I had like 3 homes that I have or whatever. And then I don't know why I stuck with it. Started learning more, whatever, on my own. And I'm like, man, I realized, I'm like, man, these people that have been giving me this advice that do this, do this, do this, they want me to fail. They give me the wrong advice. These people that give me these workers, they give me the wrong workers. They give me the workers that they didn't like to fuck
It
up
was
with my shit.
bogus, Yeah.
Yeah, and I realized, I'm like, damn, people don't want me to succeed. They want me to get
It's
fucked.
true.
Yeah.
And it's true, though. That's so
So,
true, bro. That's so true.
Then I start to become bigger.
Yeah.
The people that didn't want me to succeed, that were giving me the wrong workers and the wrong advice, are now asking me for advice.
I remember
And
seeing
now
you,
I was
bro.
like,
Yeah.
what?
That's
What?
crazy.
Now,
I
you
remember
guys
seeing you
asking
back
me?
in the day. Back in the day, you would be at Menards. He's like, man, I'm flipping these homes and blah, blah, blah.
Bro.
You were like super excited. He's like, man, I got this, bro.
But I was,
man, we about to blow up, bro, blah, blah.
hey,
I
but listen,
remember
like,
that.
I
You
was
remember that?
this close to walking away.
Yeah.
So, fortunately, a little bit of a background on me. Like in 2008, market crash. I had some money saved up. So when the market crashed, there was houses in Kenosha for $25,000-$30,000. In Racine, they were like $10,000.
Yeah.
So I bought my first house for $25,000, and a little bit of luck, initiative, and you know, I saved, I sacrificed in my teenage years. But even then, I was still about to walk away from the whole thing because I was not succeeding, because I was getting the wrong advice, the wrong workers, everything. Everything was going down south for me. I wasn't making any fucking money.
Yeah.
And I realized, like, damn, these people that I was asking to help me out want to see me down here. And I was like, okay. Switched everything around, and now I haven't worked. Well, I work right for my rentals, and I manage everything and everything.
You was working all day today, bro.
Yeah.
Definitely
bro.
worked.
You was
Definitely
working all day
worked.
today.
So-
Your
I can
work
account
is
to that.
different
Working for
to
yourself.
Right. No, I agree.
Yeah.
But I went from, you know, working a job till I was 27 to now I'm like my own boss. I do what I want to do, whatever. And now I'm working harder because I've added to my portfolio. In the last 6 months, I've added probably over 40 units, which is a lot.
That's what's up.
It's something that some people will never see in their lifetime. There's a lot of people that are 40 years old, don't own a house to their name. I own properties that are paid off. I own properties that, you know, that I got a mortgage on, but I own maybe 200,000 that are worth 500,000. Or I own buildings that are worth a couple $1 million that I owe to the bank half of what it is. So like, I mean, it's taken me a lot to get there. I haven't given up, but also like people that try to put me down, I overcame that.
Yeah. I mean, your story speaks to the need for authentic mentorship, right?
Yeah,
like to hear that people, you reached out to people that were in a position that should have been able to help you and like really give you the game, chose to give you scraps or leftovers or not really help you get put on the way you needed to
They
be.
wanted me to
those
go
are
the
those are
wrong
bad.
way.
Those
Well,
are bad
what they
mentors.
wanted to do is they wanted you to fail so they could take your
Those
stuff.
are toxic mentors.
You know, and that's
Okay.
yeah. It
Toxic
speaks to
mentors.
the need, man, for authentic mentors. You know, that really
Yeah.
that are really about investing into the next generation and seeing people win.
That's
You know, and that's
huge.
got to be the heart of mentorship. If it's
You know what's
anything else,
crazy? Even
it
though I
ain't
got that false, fake love from a lot of people, I don't do that to people. I always try to, like, if anybody asks me for help, I tell them, do this, do this, do this, do that. But that's the thing. Like, I tell them, I give them a blueprint on how to become millionaires.
Yeah.
And they do the exact opposite.
And it's
my
crazy.
brother,
Yeah,
my
that's crazy
sisters.
how
Yeah.
that happens, bro.
Like, people
It's
close to
crazy.
me.
It's crazy because like your brothers don't want to listen to you because they think they're like you're trying to play with them or whatever it is.
I don't
like
know what
it's
it is.
funny in their brain.
I don't know what
And
it
you're
is.
like you're trying to tell them, you're like, listen, all you got to do is do this. Is like you're doing these shows, so I'm not gonna. So there's a friend.
I
of
made the
mine-
mistakes for them.
I'm gonna say this. There's a friend of mine that does some work. I'm not gonna say specifically what that work is, but they never get paid for it, and they just do it as a passion project all the time. And I'm like, dude, why aren't you getting paid for this passion project that you're doing? Because you're worth at least each thing that you're doing. And I'm not trying to go into the specifics of that. You should be getting at least paid like at least $1,000 each time you're doing this or more, whatever that looks like. And you need to create your own thing to do that because you're letting these other people control what you're doing and how you're doing that. And that's ridiculous to me. And you know what? My father taught me that, and he was my mentor. And that's like the real story there is like he was my mentor. He showed me like you make your own way, regardless if it's $600 a week, regardless if it's like $4,000 a week, whatever that looks like. But at the end of the day, it's like you put that back into your family and you make your own way. One thing that I'll say about mentorship for me that I learned from my father that I really think stuck out to me, and I'll say this and I'll let you guys talk. So one time my father was getting a couple $1,000s a week. And this was a lot of money back in like the 89, 80s, the late 80s or whatever like that.
That was a lot of money.
It was a lot of money. He was getting a couple $1,000s a week. And he had this dude, and I'm not trying to talk about race, but it was a Chinese guy. He had all this money. I'm not even going to say his name because people might know who this guy is. And he treated his worker unfairly. And he said, why are you treating your worker like that? He didn't say it like that. He said, why are you treating your worker like that? He said, because he's blankety blank and blah, blah, blah. And I do whatever I want to do to my work. He said, well, I don't like that you treat him like, he's like, go apologize to him because you don't talk to people like that. And man, we really thrived on that couple $1,000s a week, me and my family, because it was me, my brother, sister, and my mom and my dad. And he said, if you don't do that, he's like, I'm not gonna do business with you. And then the Chinese guy laughed. He's like, ha ha ha. He's like, who else is gonna give you this money in X, Y, and Z? And he was kind of right. Like, who else is gonna give him this money? And my dad was like, I'm done with you after this delivery. I'm not gonna do any business with you. Don't call me. Blah blah blah. My dad had to end up calling the police on this guy for a restraining order because this guy kept on calling him because of the business that my dad did. But my dad he stood on that and he said, let this be a lesson to you that you do what's right to people and you treat people the right way and you don't treat them the wrong way. And it doesn't matter about money. It matters about, who you are and how you treat people.
Yeah,
it's an integrity position. And I thought that was like so liberating. I was like, man, I want to be like that. And I did that when I got older. There's people that I decided I didn't want to do business with. I knew that I could make millions of dollars doing whatever said deals, but I decided not to do that. And that was like crazy. That'll always stick with me. Like you had to be there to see that. And I thought my dad was like the coolest because I didn't like my dad because he always told me what to do all the time. He was the mentor. Like, man, he's like, man, you got to do this. You got to do that. Get up in the morning. You got to get up. Why you stand in the bed until 8 o'clock? Like, that's lazy, and all the other stuff like that. But like, man, let me tell you, Yeah, that was a big thing for me, man. So anyway, let's go. Let's talk about takeaways. Okay, what's one lesson that you learned the hard way,
Kirby, go first, man.
Kirby?
I've been talking enough. You just been going, yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, let's go.
I,
When I'm
I would
talking.
I would say discipline.
Discipline.
Yeah, in my younger
Yeah.
years, I was very, very undisciplined in just about every way. And I could just look at a lot of the mistakes that I made as a young adult just due to a lack of discipline. Whether we're talking about with money or with women or with like opportunities that I blew. I mean, I think there was a while my parents like, I don't know if this dude is going to be worth anything or if he's just going to be wasted potential and talent, right? Just a lack of discipline in my life. You know what I'm saying? So learning to do hard things consistently, right? And like make those difficult choices and making decisions, whether it's with my money or with where I spend my time or just how I dedicate myself to certain things, man, that's something I learned the hard way, for sure.
What's one thing that you wish someone would have told you earlier?
I wish I would have learned how to manage money sooner. All my parents told me was like, save your money, which is good. But I wish I would have learned like how credit actually works and how is a credit score actually created. And you know what I'm saying? Like I wish I would have learned a more well-rounded like financial education way before I did.
That should
I
be
like
a high
that.
school requirement.
And then what's one practical step men can take to find that guidance now, you think?
Find a mentor, find somebody that's doing something you want to do at a high level and find a way to build that relationship and connection.
I would piggyback
Huge.
on that and go back to the vulnerability that we talked about. Be vulnerable when you go into these situations. Put it out there. Be like, look, man, I'm just trying to like again seek the mentor, seek the people that
Yeah.
you want to guide,
Yeah.
but be vulnerable to it.
I like that. I like that. Let me go to you, Mateo. What's one lesson you learned the hard way?
Hard way. I don't know. I used to be a person that would consider anybody and everybody a friend, right? But I
We were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
I realize now that there is a lot of people that watch you behind the scenes as like haters, and I mean they have this bad vibe on you. They see you doing good. They see you doing good, and they, you know, they hate on you, even though they smile to your face. So like, you know, I'm a friendly guy, and I like to have open arms for everyone, right? But like now I'm like, man, I don't know if I could trust certain people around me because, I mean, it's come to the extent as like, I don't know, really close friends and family members have been like, damn, like I didn't know they were like thinking this of me, or they got this negative energy on me, right? So I think very eye opening, I guess, in the last few years, and like a harsh reality to think that like not everybody wants to see you doing good,
That is
even if they're
huge.
friends or family.
Yeah, some people aren't mature enough to handle your success.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's real true.
Yeah.
What's one thing that you wish that someone had told you earlier?
You know what? I don't know because I figured a lot of stuff out on my own, but I think it goes back to the same saying, like, you know, like you can't buy experience, you got to live through it. So I don't know. I don't think I regret anything or like say, oh, somebody's gonna, because even if somebody would have told me certain things earlier, I have to live through it to kind of feel it, feel the betrayal or feel whatever I'm gonna feel. So I learn for myself. So like nowadays, like when I've learned something and I've learned it by experience and it's been a little while, and then I let myself get fooled one more time, I'm like, all right, I just got spanked. All right, this is why I don't trust so and so.
Yeah.
This is why I do things a certain way. I just got spanked. This was a little bit of reminder of why I do things the way I do things, and let this be that last reminder. Sometimes I keep falling back into it, and it's
There's
not as
so much with that.
not as often as you know, like is like, oh, I keep falling back into it, but like maybe a few years go by, and I'm like, damn, I
He's like,
fell
you
for
tried
it
again
one
because
more
you're trying to be a
time.
nice
But this,
guy
but this
or
also
something.
circles back to when we were talking about the control versus the guidance situation.
Yeah.
You're
Oh,
setting
that
these
makes
up. I'm
sense.
giving
Yeah.
you my blueprint.
Yeah.
Here it is. Other side of the mentality on that end is I trial by error. You've done it yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, just
And sometimes I don't know if it's a heart or whatever, we act upon, like we talked about it, right? The Bible, the heart. Sometimes we act upon the heart, right? And you go ahead and you make the same mistake again because you got a heart.
yeah.
Sometimes you got to be heartless in life, right? For some things.
Yep.
And
I don't know.
Well,
no,
no,
sad
but-
reality
but it's-
sometimes,
I mean,
But I mean,
sometimes.
just when
sometimes.
he
Agree
when
with
he said that, the first thing I did was nudge you because we
I
were
understand
talking
what
about
you're
the
saying,
same thing
though.
earlier.
I
But
get it. I get
by
it.
me
You
saying
know?
that,
I
and
get
I
that.
keep
'Cause
falling into that same hole,
you see
is
the
because
best in people. You see the best
because I
in
keep
people.
seeing the best in people. I try
get
not
that.
to keep doing it because I get proven wrong every time, and it's that
understand what
spanking
you're
that I
saying.
need.
And,
Like,
it gets smaller
All right.
and smaller.
I just
and
got
smaller
spanked
every time.
again, and that's my little reminder.
Yeah, but make sure you protect your heart in that.
Yeah.
Because what those situations are designed to do is make your heart cold and
Yeah.
bitter
Right.
and standoffish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got to recognize,
To
like, man,
close
I gave
off
this
from the
person an
world. Yeah.
opportunity
Yeah.
and they blew it, and that's on them.
100%.
And they won't get that opportunity from me again, but that's on them.
Yeah.
So it's not your heart that's wrong.
It's true.
You
The
tried to give an
intentions.
opportunity to
So I
somebody.
don't think my heart's wrong.
But because
But what I'm saying is you got to tell yourself those things.
sometimes.
Like,
Yeah.
no, that person blew an
Trust
opportunity.
me,
I didn't
yeah.
do the wrong thing.
Right.
They did.
100%.
And so that way, when those opportunities come, because there are going to be opportunities that will come your way to help people, and you're going to see them flourish.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to look back and say, man, I helped this person and this person and this person achieve great things. And so your legacy won't just be, this is what I've built,
100%,
but
yeah.
this is what I've been able to help these people build.
Right.
That's true.
And that day is going to come for you.
No,
and that's
I
and that's
agree
and that's
with
giving, and that's giving because at the end of the day, people are gonna fail you. At the end of the day, they're gonna not
the
do
fucking
exactly
time.
what you want to do,
All the time.
and it could be your own family. You know what I'm saying? Because you can give
Anybody.
your heart, and you can give like a year attraction for like 5, 10 years, 20 years of like good stuff to those people, and they can give you like just dirt, right? But at the same time, you got to be still thankful for that position because like they're there to teach you. Like not everybody is the same, and then at the same time give them grace and like forgive them and say, hey, you know what, even though that you didn't see what I was trying to do and what I'm about, but at the same time it's like, you know what, I'll still forgive you for that, and I may not do the same situation with you anymore, right? Because that's not going to happen anymore, but I still love you and I'm still going to say what's up to you, you know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm about. Like I say what's up, like I say what's up to a lot of people I know that hate me, they care about me. I'm telling you, like, and they probably talk about it too. I'm like, what's going on? And they know, I be saying what's up.
Yeah, I'm good at forcing people to speak to me.
I'm like,
hey, how you doing?
What's going on,
Yeah,
fam?
you
How
gonna
you
speak.
doing, bro?
Okay, how
Hey,
you-
John.
You don't speak to me.
And
you
it be
hater.
like that, but it's like, and I'm not
You
trying
ain't
to
getting
like,
off that easy.
I'm not trying to
Yeah.
like ruffle feathers,
yeah.
but
No.
at the end of the day, I'm saying what's up. Like it's all good because like you know what, I still love you either way. You dirty, you a dirty. Like I'm not gonna laugh. I'm not gonna curse. But you a dirty person. But at the end of the day, I love you. I forgive you. I'm probably not gonna like sit down and have coffee with you.
Yeah. I mean, because it keeps you from changing who you
Yeah.
are.
At the end
you know
of
what I
the
mean?
day,
Like, I'm not
yeah.
going to change who I am
Yeah.
because of what you've done and who you are. Because you've proven to be dishonest. So, yeah, I'm still going to be me.
So we're gonna wrap it up, man, guys. Thank you guys so much for today's podcast. I really appreciate you guys coming in. Kirby, 100%, man. Just like you, just taking your time out. I know we really took a long time for this, but I mean, at the end of the day, like, thank you so much, Mateo.
Yeah, we
At the end of
we
the day,
appreciate
like,
you guys
yeah.
coming out. We hope
Yeah.
you enjoyed the podcast. We
Yeah.
hope the audience enjoyed the podcast
Yeah.
today. You know, if you guys are
Hey,
interested,
we had a visitor today. What? What's her name? Natalie? Natasha?
Sorry, what's her name?
Those way.
but you know,
Nadia.
we appreciate you
Nadia.
guys coming out. And
Nadia.
obviously, we had many different avenues we can run down with many different conversations.
Yeah.
So if you guys are open to it, we
Yeah.
obviously would love to have you back.
Right.
Maybe on a, one of the topics
Yeah,
we
maybe
were tangenting on. Or,
yeah.
or
We're
something
still
like that.
doing this.
So,
This is episode number 8, I think, right?
yeah,
Is
something
it
like
seven?
that.
No. Number 8. So I mean, at the end of the day, we're still building and we're still growing, and I think we're gonna come somewhere we're gonna go to a destination with this, and we really want to make masculinity cool again, because we think that masculinity has been taken away from
But we want to make
our
it comfortable,
society.
not cool.
Well, comfortable. Well, no, I mean, it's more relevant than it is right now. And I think at the end of the day, real masculinity comes from it's leadership. It's leadership. I think that that's important to have leadership from that position. That's where real leadership comes from, masculine, from men. But also, like, I know that at the end of the day, like, we have to work all together, because that's what it's about, is like loving one another. So that's all I can say. That's what I can say about that.
Appreciate the invite, man. It was good to be on tonight. Thank y'all.
I appreciate y'all, man, for real. So I want y'all to feel empowered, seek guidance, whoever that is that's looking for a mentor.
Send in your questions, send in your topics for future episodes, future discussions. Can always hit up Ask Rob to get us to respond individually if you have questions individually for us, or anything that you guys are looking for advice on, and that sort of thing as well.
And also see masculinity as something that's developed, not performed. It's developed. It takes time to do that, and you have to really link into the right individuals. Link into, if you want Mateo's email.
You're not sharing it. You heard him.
Ask us for it. He already said he get millions of dollars, bro. Like, listen, that's a good dude. Kirby, this dude is like, he's super connected. So if you want his email, we got you on that too. And then we got Rob right here. He's doing his thing,
I don't have an
man.
email.
He's super connected as well. So I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, these are great mentors, and these are guys that I love and I respect as well. So I would never, step on their toes. I might play around, but at the end of the day, man, like, seek mentor. Maybe these aren't the guys that you want. I know some other people in town as well. So we know, and you guys know other people too, because maybe we won't be a good match for you, because maybe you want to work at McDonald's. I don't know. So I mean,
all right.
I
Thanks,
worked at
guys.
McDonald's.
We'll see you in the next episode.
All right,
Just
peace.
rambling at this point, dude.
I know.